a custom background.
When your kids use Zoom for school, they find out you can have a background, and then you spend all day on Photoshop with them.
How do you do a background?
Gotta have fun.
Are you on a desktop or
desktop?
So go to below, like next to where it says stop video, there's a little caret, the little plus thing, or the up thing, and say choose virtual background.
Oh.
And there's a few default ones, but then you can make your own. So, this was my favorite one. I found a video of this and made this the background.
I actually tried this for a work conference that I did on Thursday, I guess yesterday, and it kind of melted the whole meeting.
Your processing power or your bandwidth?
I don't know. I'm not technical, and that's where I probably differ from the most of you guys. That I have the wherewithal to navigate stuff, but I'm not a problem solver when it comes to computers.
Oh, good. It's I try to turn on and it's going to be an interesting thing on this one because we're going to be doing the same thing. But I had the virtual background on for my kid during his second grade meeting today, and he had to show an item to his teacher. And so, like, if you pick up something and you put it over here, it thinks it's part of the background.
Yeah, that's what I had to teach my kid to move his thing like this.
Right in front of you and put your face over the top of it. Yeah. That was a fun
it took me forever to figure out how to get to the moon, so I just haven't left.
It's good when you're sharing what you're drinking, and then it's like,
yeah, right. Then it's gone. Yeah. Cheers. It's a ghost streak.
Good times. So welcome everybody to the Crypto Campfire podcast, show and tell / open forum live stream number 3. So this is the first show and tell, but the third open forum that we've done. We've got some familiar faces on here that you guys have either heard on the podcast and or on our live streams. This is going to be an exciting one. We figured we just kind of go back to the old school days of being a kid and forget about the world for a little bit. Talk about some random stuff, maybe a little bit of crypto. Who knows? Let's see what happens. Thanks, guys, for coming on the show. This is going to be amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining. This is a blast.
Yes, indeed.
I needed some. I've been like at my wherewithal and this day, and I needed some familiar faces and some camaraderie and some friendship and just some people, So this is perfect for me. Thank you all for that. Hell yeah!
Thanks for inviting us. You guys are always killing it and bringing it online, and it's always easy. Like every time I see your live stream, I try to sneak on at least for a little bit and say hi because you guys are awesome.
Gotta pop on for a few minutes and show your face.
Heck yeah.
So how's everybody doing lockdown wise? I know it's kind of been a while. We've all sort of in one way or another talked about this with each other recently, but how's everybody doing? Anybody in like really rough right now, or is everybody kind of making it through?
We'll just go around.
I'll jump in.
There you go. We'll start with Rob.
Everybody talk.
One at a time.
Screaming.
So we're lucky that we're in one of the 7 states that doesn't have a mandatory lockdown yet. So the governor is going on TV like every day going, please, please, please don't make me do this. Don't force me to lock you in your houses kind of thing. So far, I think we have one of the lowest case counts in the country. And so we have we're supposed to be the county shut down all the restaurants and all the businesses, but we could still walk around and do our shopping and stuff like that if we need to. So we're not legally locked down yet. So we're doing pretty well. We're good here in Utah.
Good to hear. And I know you said you've been kind of focusing really hard on trying to do that because your wife's in the medical industry. So trying to stay safe and keep everything contained and handle it on your own, even though you're not legally locked down. So
well, my wife's a medical doctor, but she telecommutes she actually works for the feds as a consultant. So she oversees government healthcare programs and analysis for the feds. So she actually telecommutes to Washington, D.C.
Even better.
So yeah, she flies out there a bunch of times a year, but they're all actually not flying right now. So
not right now, that's for sure.
But yeah, so she's actually really glad she's not like she does research and she's a project director. She oversees big data projects and stuff. And so she doesn't actually have to see patients. She's like, if I had to see patients, I'd quit. And 4 or 5 of her cousins are all doctors right now. She's like, there's no way I'd want to be a doctor right now. Just straight up.
No way in hell. I don't know. I don't think I could handle that.
So her best friend is a nurse. I'm originally from Michigan. And her dad works at Henry Ford Hospital as a researcher. And then her best friend's a nurse at Beaumont. So the Michigan people wouldn't know what that means. And her friend just got off quarantine because her friend had corona and she was a nurse at Beaumont in Royal Oak. So it's like, if you're working in healthcare, you're going to get it pretty much.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's hit Michigan pretty hard. We're under a stay at home order, but we can still go out for the essentials. So it's not like we're totally locked within our dwellings and on our property. So that's kind of good. I guess people have been getting pulled over for, like, they go up to Home Depot or Lowe's and pick up mulch to put mulch around their trees at the house, and they've been getting pulled over and getting ticketed for it. And it's like, I mean, I don't know if they're still doing deliveries and stuff like that, but that's just, it's tough because you're stuck at home. And you get a nice day out. Like, it was 70 degrees here yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, day before, maybe, whatever. I'm losing track of the days, but it was like 70 degrees. So everybody's out doing their yard work and all that stuff. And, I could see where somebody would want to run up to the home center and pick up some mulch and get some of that around their trees and stuff like that. And I'm glad I cut the grass because it snowed last night. So we had a snowstorm.
Michigan,
it was
right?
crazy. Yeah, right? 70 degrees to 30 something. So yeah.
I think the problem is that, we've been isolating voluntarily at our house for a month. Literally, we went into quarantine. We self-isolated. We looked at this shit back in January. Right after I got back from Miami Blockchain Week, I said, this shit's going to hit the US. I don't care what the government said. We topped off a bunch of preps back in January, like literally stocking up on stuff. And I said, watch. Now, understand, folks, I help run a prepping every year. We run a prepping meets crypto conference called Offchain here in Utah. So I'm got kind of a thumb on, on what's going on in the prepping world. But my wife's a doctor. I'm a former EMT, former firefighter, former Boy Scout. So we're just like paying attention to stuff. And when this stuff really started going down, I'm like, this is going to get ugly. I don't care what the government's saying. It's bullshit. So, but here's the problem. Like we go out like maybe once a week and we still we go to the grocery store. We're wearing like gloves. We're literally wearing masks, like good masks. No one else is wearing shit. We're walking around the store. People are looking at us and making comments. And then we literally decontaminate ourselves before we get into our car. We properly remove our gloves because there's a way you're supposed to do it, because I know how to use PPE. And we've been doing that for a month now. And it's like, but it's interesting because no one else is doing anything here. It's like, they're like, whoopee, and that's kind of the problem. So I don't have necessarily an issue with someone going to a store if they're doing that kind of stuff, because they're not going to be spreading something. The problem is people don't give a shit. And so because of that, that's why shit gets spread. That's why all that shit's spread all over New York really badly right now, because no one cared. The government was telling them go to parades and use the public. Why is the public transportation system still up? Of all things, you can't go to a parade, but you can go into a metal tube or a bus with a bunch of other people touching everything. They're not decontaminating that shit every 5 minutes, So I think that's why places like New York is getting it really, really bad. And to a lesser extent, I wouldn't want to be on a SEMTA bus either in Oakland County, Michigan right now either. So it's like the same thing. It's like, why is public transportation still running? And to me, that's got to be a huge vector for this stuff. But what do I know? I'm just a guy in Utah.
Yeah, right. What do we all know?
We all know there's nothing that good that comes out of Utah, right?
The reason that that's happening is because there's people that still have to go to work that don't have cars. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it being in the city, that's how a lot of people get to work. So if you're not closed down and you're still expected to be there.
And that's right. And it's not the luxury of all of us to not live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, come on, I've been a carpenter for 32 years, and I've pretty much out of those 32 years, I think there's only been 2 years, the recent 2 years, that I haven't necessarily lived paycheck to paycheck. And fortunately, I had a month's worth of reserves set aside. That's not a lot, but you know what? It was something to grab hold of and try and make work with. So, but those people that didn't have that luxury of having anything set aside, they're literally paycheck to paycheck and beyond. They can't make it to the next paycheck half the time, and they got to get to work.
Well, either you're going to shut the shit down or you're not.
Right.
Either you're shutting business down to stop the spread of disease or you don't. But if you're looking at what's the biggest vector for that, is the thing that they're still allowing it. I mean, they're allowing it here too. I mean, in Utah, we still have like tracks and our trains and stuff like that. And I'm like, why are these open?
Yeah.
If it's as bad as them, and I do believe there's a huge medical problem here. So I'm not one of those like conspiracy theorists that it's all a conspiracy. I don't believe that. I believe based on the evidence that I've been tracking, this is a big problem. And to me, that's just one of those things that these government officials don't know what the hell they're doing. And they screwed the pooch. They could have closed shut down. Let's just assume that the government had more intel about what was happening in China than I did in January. Yet I could see I'm stocking up on things because this looks bad. Don't tell me the CIA. Don't tell me, the FBI and all these organizations did not have intel that was happening in China was a bad thing. They knew. They didn't do anything because they didn't want to risk the economy. They didn't want to risk a re-election of the current administration. And I think they screwed the pooch. And I think a lot of people are going to die unnecessarily because they could have been preparing and building ventilators in January. And they didn't. They could have closed things off in January. They could have started saying, okay, no more, start doing the social distancing in January and February. They didn't do it. So I squarely I believe at all levels of government that, the government screwed this up bad. And we could have already been peaked and started recovering, but they let it go so long that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And I think it's going to be ugly over the next 6 months.
Did you see the report where they're saying that they're suggesting that we not even go back to work until like August or September?
I think that's probably realistic. And this
wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I've been tracking the counts from about a half dozen major U.S. cities. And the problem is that because of the social distancing, which makes a whole lot of sense because the whole point of social distancing is that you flatten the curve to the point that you don't have unnecessary deaths because there's not enough resources in the hospitals. That's all it's about. It doesn't mean you're not going to get it. It doesn't mean it's not going to spread. You're just slowing that spread down. So you stagger how the resources are, spent at hospitals. The problem is by doing that as well, is that New York's going to peak out whenever it peaks out, but then Detroit is, a second wave hump after that. And then St. Louis and Chicago. And so by the time this kind of hits where it's going to hit across the country, it's going to take another 6 months, probably. And so it's going to be nonstop. And I think that's what people aren't prepared for. And then what you're seeing with the government is this incremental kind of communication because they don't want to like rip the Band-Aid off and piss everybody off at once. They're like, we're going to slow the school downs for 2 weeks. Then it's like, for the rest of the year, it's like, just tell us, look, we're screwed till August. Let's plan for that. But we're not grown-ups in this country, so they won't do that.
Well, ultimately, I think that it was done strategically. I mean, unfortunately, they had to, there were some casualties in order to push certain agendas that they had on the shelf for years. And all they're doing is just pulling off the shelf now and putting in a proposal, whether it's injecting, trying to crash the dollar or population control. It's just what they're doing.
They're looking to take advantage of a catastrophe any way they can. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer here, but this was a party, and can we put that shit aside and just have some fun? I mean, I could go down this rabbit hole for 2 hours, no questions about it. I definitely could because I got a lot of frustration about it as well. But on the lighter note, let's have some show and tell. Let's have some fun. Let's, have a little sip if we can. It'd be awesome.
That's why some of that.
I'm more interested in Invest Noir cigar. That's what I'm more interested in.
How are you, sir?
Finest selection.
That's a nice stick you got there.
Thanks, man. It's the Liga Provider number 9.
Yeah.
I've been sitting on this one for about 18 months.
Oh, that's okay.
Nice.
Special occasion.
That's my show and tell. I've been sitting. It's hard for me not to smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
Literally, I buy maybe 3 or 4 boxes a month.
Is it what gauge is that? 56?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the big boy. So
Yeah. Now you want to make me grab my behickey from downstairs.
Hey, fire it up, baby.
Better go get it. This is show and tell, baby.
I think
What you got?
I've got about 10 years aged on Cohiba downstairs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a connoisseur, man.
I think I've got about 400 of them. So yeah, I'm that guy. I just like looking at them, but we're 0 degrees or -5 Celsius. It ain't that good to smoke in a garage at -5 Celsius. So it's like, gotta wait for the summer.
Clint, we're stocked up, but with us working from home like full time, I think I burned through like 100 cigars in the last 3-4 weeks, man.
I bet.
Oh, my YouTube chat finally caught up. Shout out to Stone Crypt, J Mac, Polly P, and Michael Williams hanging out in the YouTube chat. What's up, guys?
Nice.
What's up, Paula P?
Y'all know where the link is. It's in the description. Click it. Join the call. We're waiting for you. Come on.
Right?
Mr. Paul McNeil, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Today's my birthday, so I'm just hanging out, having fun with you guys.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, buddy. It's actually
Happy birthday.
It's my oldest son's birthday today, too. That's crazy.
Nice.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Good job, buddy.
Thanks,
Well,
thanks.
I'll cheers you with my coffee.
Hey, that'll work.
It counts. It counts. It's fuel of one sort
You got
or
any
another.
Baileys in that?
No,
Oh,
but now that you mentioned it, yeah, I should go chuck some in there.
Yeah, either some Baileys or some Kahlua. One of
Yeah,
the-
Kahlua is good. Yeah, Drambuie.
Absolutely.
Just go all in and pour some Jameson in it or something.
Oh yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
Oh, that works too.
Can't go wrong with Jamie.
I'm
Just
a,
like
big,
Jameson on the rocks, so.
I'm a big fan of these open podcasts.
All right, that's my things all day.
It's a lot of fun, man. It really is to be able to just jump on here and have anybody
Yeah.
join and have a conversation that doesn't have, our podcasts don't have any structure either, but there's still, that one person has some stuff that they already want to talk about. They want to come on and talk about the project they're working on or whatever. And this is just totally unadulterated and out of nowhere. It just, whatever happens, and it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes terribly wrong, but that's all in the fun.
I don't
That was
think
my
an
episode.
I don't think
That
an
was
open
my
podcast
episode.
can go wrong. So
No. As
That
long
was
as
whose
I don't get
episode,
talking too
Ryan?
long,
Was
we'll
that
be all right.
you? Said
That was
that?
my episode.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a clear focus, but
It's conversation, and we got to know
I
who
don't
you
know. I
are.
don't remember your episode
That's-
being that bad. So
I don't either.
I
That's
think we
why
had
I
a
was
pretty
like,
damn good time.
I'm overly critical. But
There's
No.
only one
of
podcast
myself,
that
of
stands
myself,
out as
not you guys, but you guys were great. But
There's only one podcast that stands out as and that was 86.
okay, no, that one that's the sad thing is that was actually a good podcast.
Yeah.
And so it was really surprising of the results of what happened to that guy. And so it was like blown away, like, fuck, holy shit, this guy just screwed everybody. But it is what it is. So he got 86 from the release schedule. But I was thinking way
happened it
back,
was
like
86.
the early days, sub 20, there was one that was kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? But that was the end of it. So
oh, now I
everybody's going to be
remember.
going back, like, who was sub 20?
He was talking about that. He was talking about
Who
that.
was
He
86?
was talking about Justin. being a
Jacob was
fanboy.
86, the
Yeah.
massive adoption event.
oh,
Yeah,
Rob
Jacob
likes
was
it.
86.
Oh.
but-
It was funny
don't get me
because his
started
no,
with
episode-
I don't really know anything about
Yeah,
anything,
right.
but
Rob, don't get
I'm
me
familiar with
started on
Jacob.
that.
Bro,
His
Absolutely not.
episode number was 86, and so it was only fitting. So we just didn't release it, and we just left that slot filled, so he would be permanently 86. And
dude,
we thought it'd be a
check
fun
this
Easter
out.
egg.
I sent that dude 500 in Bitcoin the day before
Yeah,
Rob's
right?
tweet about him being a scammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think I was 2 days before.
He's still publicly posting saying he's going to return everybody's stuff, right?
He keeps saying he does, so we'll see what happens.
He's a home
Dude.
renovator now.
Right?
No, he's a flipper. But dude, I got so much hate for like ratting him out, and I really helped that guy. Like a year earlier, I started helping him, and he wanted to get me involved. And what he did, and this is why like a lot of people in the beginning didn't want to believe it, because one, most people get ripped off, never want to say they got ripped off, and then people. And when I first said something publicly, because I got sick of it, because he was behind the scenes telling me that he was going to give me a refund. And I'm just like, whatever, $300, whatever, And what pissed me off is like, he just kept telling everybody else, I'll give you refunds. And then no one was. So I posed, I go, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're full of shit. You've been telling me this is for 4 months. And I got all these emails. And then dude, it exploded. Everybody started sending me emails. I got ripped off. Well, why aren't you saying it publicly? Well, I don't want to, it's like people don't want to like admit that they got screwed, right? That's kind of a human thing.
And you don't really like this dude that you talk to online that he seems like a super nice guy that calls.
Oh, he's total. He's good.
Yeah. So it seems cool. So you're like, you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but for how long and how many months and.
Yeah,
so
it's a hard thing. It really is.
Because I just see what's on Twitter. So I see 3 or 4 people complaining about it. I'm like, I'll let the dude. So I'm thinking he's in the hole a couple $1,000s. He'll figure it out in a month or 2. But just on this call, there's probably a couple $1,000s.
So there's a couple of us, including a Secret Service agent, that we've been working behind the scenes, like collaborating and building a giant case and compiling all the evidence. And what he did was really interesting. He went. And he did it to me because that's why he looked me up too. It's like he went after people that had big followings, ingratiated himself with the influencers. He spent that spring? He went to every conference in the country and schmoozed all the big influencers. And that's where he spent all the initial money. That's where he spent it. He was living off it and then going to all those conferences off it. Anybody who goes to a lot of conferences know you're spending, even if you get in for free, you're still spending thousands of bucks to go to like Vegas or Miami or whatever for a week. It's just how it is. Right. He went and we started looking, and my wife's really good too at sleuthing stuff. So we started looking, he went to like 5 or 6 or 7 conferences back to back across the country. And we don't believe he was getting in free either because he didn't have a following or anything. And so what happened is he drove Peter McCormick from like Denver to San Francisco too. So like he like really like got in with all those guys. So they pushed him.
Damn.
And then all those guys just clammed the hell up when he started coming out and being a scam. And it was like really hard because
our conference, and he did get in for free. I gave him free tickets,
okay.
So.
Damn it, Alon.
Because he was super nice and promoting it on Twitter and stuff, and just like everybody else that's cool and doing like a business in the space. If you're doing another conference or you have a podcast, something like that, we give everyone doing cool shit free tickets because we want them to sure. We're doing our conference to grow the industry, to get to massive adoption.
Yeah, well, I mean, in all fairness, he's really good at being a friend. I mean, like we had him on the podcast for an hour, and we had a lot of fun, and we laughed, and we had a good time, and it was what it was. And then all this came out, and it was like, yep. And it was funny because he had messaged me. This was on the way to what conference was it? It must have been on the way to St. Louis. Yeah. He was messaging me about massive adoption and wanting me to buy tickets, and he was really pushy. And I was like, well, hold on. It's like midnight. I'm landing. I'm getting in late, about to see Mitch for the first time. Like, it was like, fuck you. I don't care about your shit right now. And I ended up not buying a ticket to the conference because it was too pushy. And I was like, whatever. Well, 3 or 4 months later rolls around, and Mitch bought a ticket. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm going to massive adoption. This must be number 2. The first one must have been a success if these people are still talking at number 2. Come to find out that he had just rescheduled that initial event and then conned more people. But it was like, shit,
right?
Crazy. You sometimes, as much as you say that having a conversation face to face, you can tell when somebody's trying to shaft you or not. Not everybody. Not everybody.
Not everyone is.
I wanted to go to Rob's event, and I was on the fence about which one I was going to go to. And when I couldn't get my flight refunded, that's the only reason why I didn't go to yours, Rob.
Oh, well, I didn't take it. See, the thing is, we don't try like our conference. Like this was the second year we did it. We weren't doing it to make money. This is a thing for us. It was like literally this year, our tickets were $30. Like us, it was just about our focus is on having really smart people in the room. And so his is all about making money. And I told him it was interesting. Why are you trying? Because I know what it takes to do a conference. Like I've been involved with organizing 3 now at different times. And to do like a 2,000 person conference, you need like an operating bankroll of at least $50K. minimum just to make that happen. And I started getting a whiff, like I got a really sensitive bullshit detector because I've just been around street hustlers my whole life, growing up outside of Detroit and shit. So best thing, I used to own a liquor store, ghetto liquor store in Denver as well. And so you just get used to fucking hustlers all the time giving you their sob stories. And I'm like, dude, there's something that doesn't make sense. You're going to go for, you've never organized a conference. You're going to organize a 2,000 person event and you have no money. And the one thing we started digging into, he had no team. And I mean, just think about this. You're going to just think of the registration of trying to, register 2,000 people is like a huge undertaking. You need a whole huge staff for that. And he didn't have any of it. And that's like, as we started, like, it was probably, in February when we started talking about him. It's like, dude, there is nobody else but him. This is no way going to work. And then when everybody started pouring in, I didn't realize the extent of the scam. And then I start digging in. I'm really good at tracking shit down. We found out that he's only renting houses. He's only rented shitty houses in Boulder. He rents. He doesn't even own a house. Then we found out all his record, in Poland, that he's a wanted criminal. I started talking to his brother. I follow his brother on Twitter. His brother says he's a scam, so it's like, no, his brother straight up says he ripped off everybody in Poland before he fled, but he's been in jail numerous times and on probation and stuff in Poland too. This guy's a serial. That's all he does. He has no skills. He has no money. He lives off of it. And that's why he does. So I think he may have, what he screwed up is he should have paid off the loudmouths like me. If he would have just paid me and a couple other people, he'll 100% got away with it because most people didn't say shit.
Crazy.
But the more
we freak out, like every time we get close to our conference and like trying to make sure everything's taken care of, I couldn't imagine like leaving that many people on the hook. And it's like the amount of stress that must be for somebody who's not a sociopath, right? Like you're that's crazy.
Well, we started saying, like, when we started digging into this, like, and this is we talked to a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people down in Memphis too, because he bamboozled some really, really big entrepreneur people down there. And I talked to them, and he was like using this like super duper immigrant, like guy that's really involved in the startup space in Memphis. He used his address as the quote unquote registered agent when people said, I want to sue you. And I talked to the owner of that address. He's like, I never gave that fucker permission. Fuck him. He was pissed. So Jacob, but he doesn't live in Memphis. He lives in Boulder, Colorado. And it was just really interesting. We started really digging into this. Is like with the Sats for Students, I said, okay, if this is legit, if you're going to bus in we started looking back and we'll find out you're going to bus in hundreds of students on a school day. Think of the logistics for that? Permission slips, buses. What teachers are you working with to organize hundreds of students coming in from the inner city to get to your event? None of that was out there. Wouldn't you think Mrs. McGillicuddy would have been talking about how she's excited that her class is going to go to this conference, and there would be some kind of, you could use that as a promo to generate more donations for those kids, right? It was all bullshit. There was nothing there. He never had anything planned for that. We couldn't find any evidence across the board. Like the Sats for Student thing, total bullshit. So 2 weeks out and he's got nothing to show for it. You can't organize that much logistics to move that many students around without a crap load of logistics already in place. Impossible. So total scam. Then sucks.
It happens. And I think the biggest, most important thing is that we all talk openly about it. And, anytime you get scammed, be able to like air what happened to you so that other people can look out for similar things.
There can be no shame. It happens to some of the wisest people. It just happens. So
it's happened to everyone in some way over their lives. I think the best thing to do is to look around at this awesome industry and see that 99% of the people are not scammers.
Right.
Everyone wants to point at the shit ICOs or the certain things that happened. But like, if you look around, there's way more people that are doing really cool, good things in the space than there are these scammers. Guys, I just want to, I got to sneak off and have dinner with the family. I just wanted to say hi, and I'm glad you guys are doing this. I'm glad you're all safe. And
wait, did you bring something for show and tell? You can't leave without doing show and tell.
Show and tell out there.
Come on.
I'm going to show, I have this taped on my wall. I posted this on Twitter. See, I'm going to show, this is my son's list he made me. I have a Fiat Leak running on the screen all the time.
Okay.
And my son asked me how he could help with work, and Joseph, my partner, said, you can help us with business development. And he tried to explain to him what business development was. And so my son wrote a list, and he said, this is a list for Bitcoin. It says Bitcoin at the top. And it says, number 1, write more about Bitcoin. Number 2, tell everyone. Number 3, force everyone to use Bitcoin. Number 5, number 3, force everyone to use Bitcoin. Number 4, your goal is to make it to 10,000 on Fiat Leak. And then number 5, make another company. So there we go.
You can't top that. Can't top that, man. That's awesome.
So let's get Bitcoin
That's
to 10,000.
awesome.
Let's all start new companies.
Oh yeah, I'm all
Thank you.
down with number 3.
I'll watch the restream. I want to watch, see all the rest of you guys' show and tells. Great to see some of your familiar faces, and the rest of you. Let's connect afterwards. Thanks, guys, for doing
Absolutely.
this. Glad you're all
Thank
safe.
you.
Thanks for coming
Thanks
on,
for
man. It's good
showing
to
up.
talk to you again.
We'll talk to you live.
Later,
Peace.
guys. Peace.
What's
up?
up, Truth Raider?
What's up, guys?
You know what's funny is you were not the Dave that I thought I was letting in. So you remember when we all thought about Mr. Dave Doordicker or whatever the fuck his name
That
was?
witty.
We all decided, no, we're not going to let him in. That was witty. He was just
Damn
trying to get it. And then Dave joined, like a Truth Raider joined right before I told Witty to rejoin again. And I'm like, it's Witty. He finally made it back in. What's up, Truth? What's going on, man?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
All right.
Good to have you.
What's up,
If,
Ray?
in case anybody missed it, this is the bat suit guy. That was awesome. Oh, that was so awesome.
Does anybody know a Kyler King, or is this another Zoom bomber?
Kyler King.
Oh, he's gone. He just immediately rejected his request as soon as I said that.
Nice.
Fine. It doesn't matter if there's a Kyler. So let's get to the show and tell. Alon kicked it off. Let's just go in top order from what my screen looks like, and that puts Paul as number 1. So, Paul, what you got for us?
Awesome. Well, it's not crypto related,
Doesn't
but
matter.
I don't know if you guys have heard of a company called Life Fuels. It's a water bottle, basically, but at the bottom of the bottle, you have these fuel pods, and you can put in immunity, multivitamins, electrolytes, yada, yada. Anyway, each one of these pods hold like 30 bottles of what would be equivalent like Gatorade or whatever, and you just put it into the water. You can eject it with the little cool button on the front. It lights up. Which power's probably gone, but it lights up, and you can inject it with the stuff in it. So,
What exactly are you injecting?
either multivitamins, immunity, electrolytes.
Can't
We'll
say that
stick
on the
with
live
that,
stream.
Paul. It's all right.
I mean that's a good legit legal answer since this is being recorded, so I get it. But
Right.
I mean that can I see the bottom of that again?
That's really cool, though.
I thought I saw a corrosive symbol. 1 second.
No.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so it's a really cool little bottle. It's not too heavy, and again, like I said, you can put water in. Then it has an app where it tracks how much water you have per day, and so it tells you if you're hydrated or not. So it's just a way of hydrating. They're working with a lot of sports teams over in the UK, and they actually have a team mode. Basically, the coach can program their bottles for what they need, and they can know what to drink and things like that. They've actually said that it actually helps them perform better. So we don't know.
Where's your link, Paul?
Wow.
Are we confident that it doesn't contain a GPS and a microphone?
Yeah,
That's
right.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I have.
I love it. That's awesome.
Cool. It is awesome. And
All
who's
right, Rob, looks like you're up.
Rob's
Oh.
up. Did you bring his show? You did.
I got a couple things to show. So this
Perfect.
literally came in the mail 5 minutes before the show. So it's my new EDC light for my Glock.
Okay. Okay.
So
Cool.
that's the I literally haven't opened it yet. So that literally, like, my wife's like, you
No, a
should go
Glock.
online.
That's like a little remote control car, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's made of the same stuff.
Oh, nice.
Made of
so,
the same stuff.
So that'll go in that. But here's the cooler thing. So one of the things that we're doing with Tusk, because now I'm going to pimp my shit. So one of the things we're doing with Tusk is
This is
we're
Pimp My Ride.
Yeah,
Campfire
right.
edition.
you know, so we're being we're going to be we're focused on the gun industry, and that's who our client base is. So we got a prototype done because we're going to be giving away customized guns as giveaway prizes over the next few months. We're going to be starting to do that. So this was the first one that we had customized. So this is my wife's. This was her birthday present, by the way. So she said, make sure you tell people it's my birthday present. And it is. But this is a Springfield Hellcat 3. No, this is a 9. And then we had this laser engraved. And so the gray is custom Cerakote. So this is not a stock color you can get in these. And then the Tusk logo was laser engraved in the both sides of the.
That's cool.
So that is cool.
This is a crazy little pistol. It's like, if you want to like compare it to the Glock for an everyday carry, it's like way smaller, but it doesn't feel small. And I think it's 14 rounds. It's 13 in one, but it's like literally for the size of compared to the Glock, it's like really a lot more comfortable. I actually think, now that I've seen it, I think I might actually go and get one, but it's a lot smaller than the Glock. And this is just a 19. So anyways, that's my show and tell.
Perfect. Okay. Reminds me of my dad's. It's been a long time since I've been to a gun show, but I used to be like, that was my rotation, going to the gun shows and hawking rifles and stuff for a while.
Nice.
There. And I was building AR-15s and doing all kinds of FFL, and I was having a good time. I've been out of the gun industry for almost 4 years now, but I'm in Montana. I still got to get out and have some fun. So
exactly. I think I'm going to take the kids out this weekend to go shooting in the desert. So, because I haven't been shooting in a while. So I think we're going to go shooting this weekend.
Hey, Rob,
sounds like a good idea. It's starting to warm up here. I might have to take the kids out and do the same.
Yes, sir.
Do you guys do the Cerakote or do you send it out?
No, I had a company called Beehive Armory do the customization.
Really?
So I didn't. I do build guns a lot. I do a lot of smithing on. I'm probably armorer level on an AR and the 1022 platforms, respectively, and probably AK. I haven't built an AK from scratch, but I've done a lot of modifying on AKs. I am not a good painter with anything, so you don't want me to paint something. You just don't want me with an airbrush. You don't want me with that.
And Cerakote especially, it's so kind of finicky, especially trying to get it laid down nice and thin so you don't have clearance issues. And that was something we faced with our ARs a lot, was trying to find a Cerakoter that actually did a good enough job that we didn't have to go sand or file down edges of parts and shit to make it fit, So we had a few poor experiences finding Ceracoters, but when you find a guy with talent, it's like they can do some cool stuff.
Now, I do have an airbrush, and I do have a little oven, and I do my own gun coats and Duracoats. I've never Cerakoted. Those other finishes are a lot more forgiving. One of those things that I'd like to do when life is back to normal, I want to go to Cerakote school just so I can learn to do it properly because of what he just said. The problem is with Cerakote is that if you want to do like bolts and those kinds of things, BCGs, that kind of stuff, it's like you got to be able to get enough coverage but keep it thin, and you got to heat these things up and then heat treat or the curing it out and stuff. It's a complicated process. So the people that do it good, I have absolute respect for people that can do that. I'm more interested in getting into I'd like to get a laser, to be honest, to do engraving. I already have like a CNC plasma table, so I'm learning CNC, and I got a 3D printer and stuff, so I'm learning the CAD and the CAM stuff. So I think I would like to do the laser stuff, but I don't know about the Cerakote. We'll see how it goes. Maybe something.
I'm looking for a custom slide for a Glock 21.
I could put you I can make some recommendations.
I'll hit you up on Twitter, man.
Sure, anytime.
Ryan's about to take off. Do you want to throw your show and tell out there before you head out?
My show and tell, the things that are cool were some playing rings when I played baseball, but I don't have those. They're in a safety security box or something. My mom might have them.
That's not show and tell then.
I know, exactly.
Renamed show or tell.
I know. So I'm equating this guy, which in my background you might not be able to see, but it's
hold it right in front of you.
Yeah, like tip your camera down and stick it right in front of your chest.
You go.
There we go. Just like that.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
This is
5 ounce?
10. It's a 10 ounce bar, but what the significance of that is, it's probably not too much heavier than one of the Phillies rings that I got. And like I said, I don't have those, so you'll have to use your memory. But yeah, when I was fortunate enough to play minor league baseball for 2 years, I got a ring for each year because we won our league championship each year. And they're weighty. They're not like like you buy your wife a wedding ring and it's like a thin band and a diamond or whatever. It's like how can we engulf your hand in precious metals and silver or whatever. But I was fortunate, and that's where between the two of the rings that I got from winning 2 league championships, it probably weighs about that much. But that's what I got, and I got to leave you guys. Like I said in the comment, I might be back, but I got to go.
Cool.
I got to go put my girls down, and if you guys are going to carry this deep into the night, I might rejoin you. But otherwise, it was a wonderful time getting to see a lot of you people. And,
Right. It was good to see you too. Thanks for showing up, brother.
Good night, brother.
We'll see you in a little bit.
All right. Well,
we'll be here for a while, I'm sure.
All right.
Sing him a lullaby.
Take it easy.
Peace.
Well, it was super convenient because he was right beneath Rob on my screen, so we didn't even go out of order.
Right.
Cool thing. And now let's. The question is, do I want to go right to left now or left to right?
Oh, good Lord.
Okay, I'm gonna go left to right because that's how I started.
Perfect.
Noir, what you got for us?
It's almost.
Oh yeah, we already. That's all right. We already got the answer. There's not much left.
That's a 57 millimeter Cuban
56.
Titanic something or other.
It's a Liga provider number 9 that I aged for about 18 months before I lit it up. So yeah, as you can tell, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm big into cigars. I love crypto. I've been in since 2014, but I post more shit about cigars than I do crypto. So,
love it.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
I love
That's
it.
it.
That's your signature, brother. That's your signature.
It is, man. It is.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Mark says he's got to take off. So, Mark, it was good having you on the show. Do you got a show and tell you want to share before you buzz out? Or
no, I was just
popping
here
in
to
say hi.
No, I just popped in to say hi, hang out, and say thanks.
No,
it was good to have you on, man. It's been a while since we talked. We definitely need to get an actual podcast going.
I know, right?
Soon.
Yeah. Let's do it. Well, you guys have fun. I might come back on, but my 5-year-old needs to go to bed. So you probably saw him behind me earlier on. So
no problem.
All right. Good seeing everybody.
Easy, Mark. Good
Thanks,
see you.
guys.
Later.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Now it's Clint Westwood.
Yeah,
this couldn't possibly end well. What do you got to show us, Clint?
Brother, I've been quiet, so I don't know. I might be
sip.
Back. Exactly, I've been sipping a little.
There's no room for quiet in this place.
Sip.
No doubt. Mitch, you've been here. What the hell do I have that's unique that I can flash up on the screen, man?
Well, you just showed it the other day.
Oh, you want to get that?
No, we already got Zoom bombed by the Pornhub. We don't need any more.
God, yeah, I know.
It had all the different colors in it, I thought.
I need to learn how to monetize that somehow.
It just showed up.
I don't even know. What am I talking about?
It was a 5 ounce. It was a 5
Oh yeah, hang on. It's
coin.
over here. Just a minute.
Okay. That was really cool. You'll see. It's really neat. He's into all these coins and collecting different coins, so it's pretty cool.
Nice.
You know, it's tangible. You can hold it in your hand and feel it. And
I really wish I could use Nerf guns through Zoom because right now I would have so much fun just shooting Clint with Nerf guns.
You'd be blasting me right in the ass.
Oh yeah, just hundreds of rounds. I'd have all the full automatic Nerf guns lined up and going.
I know. I just like pop, 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 pop.
You know, we were out target shooting one time, and my wife had a Red Ryder BB gun up by the truck. I was 50 yards downrange setting up a new target, and it had a laser red dot laser sight on it. But the battery was dead. It was my kid's Daisy, and I had sort of half-assedly put this red dot on top of it. But the battery was dead, so she just put it up, and she just put me in the middle of the sight and pulled the trigger, and she managed to pop me right on the side. 50 yards with the Red Ryder BB gun.
Damn.
Well, it stayed there forever. And I was like, what the fuck were you thinking? She's like, well, I was going to use the pellet gun, which was a nice break barrel pellet gun. And I was like, yeah, that would have been fun.
Nice.
All right, let's see your silver.
Good thing it was the BB. No, I got this just a few days ago. I mean, this is a 5 ounce silver coin that the U.S. Mint puts out. It's the America the Beautiful series where they have all the national parks, and this one here is the first one of 2020. It's American Samoa. And you see, it's got a bat on it, and
It's got a bat on it.
Yeah, I know. There's on Twitter, some conspiracy. Why? Oh, the first quarter of 2020 is a bat on it. We have this
I had that same exact conversation
suit,
like a week ago. It was like, what the fuck? It was maybe like 2 days after the Bat Soup song had come out, and I found a quarter, and I looked at Rhonda and I said, "Do you think there's a coincidence that the 2020 quarter is Bat after Truth Raider song?" I don't think so.
That's funny.
Great question. For how long did it take you to get it? I just ordered some silver, and it took almost 3 weeks for me to get mine.
Really, this one usually it doesn't take that long. I get it from AppMex, apmex.com. They're usually pretty quick, but and JM Bullion's good too. The problem is, and you can pay with crypto on both of those if you want to, so that's nice. I like JM Bullion because you can do an ACH transfer and just right out. You don't have to use a credit card, and then you save the fees. But it took. I got it from AppMex kind of right before, everything kind of went to hell with the silver market and everybody was trying to buy in, and, you had 15-day waiting, $2.99 minimums and all that.
Right.
I got it right before that. I got it because I think they might be sold out now.
Okay.
Just because we had that rush on, silver.
Yeah.
But it's starting to ease up a little bit now. And it took, AppMex, they have it out in like 3 days.
Yeah. I
so
use AppMex and Money Metals.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're good. And so usually they're quick, but I think just, with everything going on, you had some smart money, some panic money running into silver because they saw what was going on. And, it locked everything up for a while, but it's starting to ease up a little bit. The premiums have come down a little. There's a little more in stock now. So, it's getting a little better. But usually it's quick.
That's awesome.
All right, Truth Raider, what did you bring?
What'd you bring us?
I don't have anything cool, man. I've been digging like solar power banks. Have you guys been using these yet?
What is it? Solar
power bank? Charge your phone and stuff?
Oh, cool.
Which one is that?
This one's it's like a waterproof one. It's called Tough Tested. But I've been kind of digging these because of where I live in Germany, and the power issues happen here. So like, if it happens, solar is it's kind of cool. There's not a lot of really good solar chargers for phones and everything.
Right.
But this is a good one, and it'll charge your phone 5 times.
Huh.
Which is
Nice.
cool.
I've never found one that actually worked worth their shit, so I'm definitely gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
I really want one, and every one I bought has just been trash.
Try check out Tough Tested. But no, I've been digging the solar power chargers lately. That's kind of been that's something I've been exploring.
That'd be good to look into, especially like I got a battery pack, those external packs that you can plug your phone into, and then it'll charge your phone like 10 times, but you still need to power that up, right? But that'd be kind of cool to use a solar charger to power up that larger cell that I could charge my phone more times with. That'd be pretty cool.
With the solar charger, dude, is like you just put it on your backpack and it just charges wherever you're walking around.
Right.
So it's kind of anyway, it's kind of cool. Like, solar's kind of been shitty for like the last 10 years, but it's starting to get better.
Well, and that's, I've been looking at, the possibility of getting solar panels just for small scale usage, around the house, powering my external lights, for example, at night, or, stuff like that. But it's finding the right stuff. And like you said, kind of waiting for the technology to evolve and get a little bit better in the price point, to where it's actually a better product and it's not as expensive as when they first came out. So yeah, definitely. So what do you got, Professor? It's your turn.
What do I got?
What do you got?
I got a couple things because I wasn't sure what I was going to bring. So you remember on the podcast that we just did with Crypto Wrecked and Justin Vendetta that unfortunately
that was
failed
like
to
3
back
months
up, and
ago.
then we lost the audio. I swear I was never going to do that. As a computer guy, my whole life, I swore I was never going to do that. That's what happens. You get in too much of a hurry and shit happens. We talked about so the first question.
So you recovered it? Is that what you're going to show us?
I wish. I really wish. That would be the best thing. I'd be so happy.
Right?
That was a really great episode. We got a little crazy and it was really fun. But I don't know.
That's okay. They both enjoyed it so much. I'm sure they'd be happy to come back on
Oh
and
yeah,
do it again.
we're definitely gonna have to have another one.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the things that we asked both of those guys, both when Justin came on by himself, when they came on together, was 5 alternative uses for a stapler. And on the second time around, we talked about the old red Swingline stapler that I got for free back in my high school days, last year of high school or first year of college. I honestly don't remember which.
It was the first year of college, I think you said.
Yeah, and so I posted it on Craigslist that I was looking for a free red Swingline stapler, just as a joke. I didn't think anybody think I was going to get any responses, maybe some trolls. Well, some lady sent me an email back and she said, I really love your ad. It made me laugh. What's your address? I'm going to mail you one from Amazon. And me being just out of high school, I didn't give a fuck. So I gave her my address. Like, maybe she'll send me a stapler. If any of us did that now, we'd all be like, what the hell is wrong?
You
with
did
you?
what?
You gave somebody's your address first. Are you kidding me? But I received a stapler. And you can see it's even starting to rust on the top. I've had it so long, but this is the red Swingline stapler that I received for free from the crazy lady off of Craigslist. So
nice.
Yeah, I was so happy. But the other thing I brought, and it's been mentioned already, is a 3D printer. I don't know if I can get this thing in front of the camera well enough. This is my very first 3D printer that I ever had.
Oh,
it's
cool.
You can see it's mostly wood.
Yeah,
it's an old printer bot.
It's got some leaf pattern to it. A little bit of flames on the side of it. Oh wait, no, that's your
no,
back.
that's all. Yeah,
That's because it caught on fire.
It caught on fire,
right?
You can see there's lots of parts on this. If you can see anything that I've printed or made for it, because this was the worst 3D printer that I've ever owned. But it was my first, so it was highly inexpensive. I traded a Glock 43 for this, and I think like $350. And if you know anything about how much a Glock 43 costs, that means this was like $200 or so. It was used. And this was back when 3D printers were still kind of expensive, more or less, but not too bad. And it had, for the drive mechanism, it had the normal stepper motors, but instead of gears or pulleys of any sort, it had Dremel sanding cylinders on it and string tied around them. And so that actually was the drive mechanism for all the axes. So as you can imagine, occasionally the string slipped on the Dremel barrels or whatever you want to call them. And that caused my prints to be nice. And like, 1 inch of the top was shifted like an inch this direction and all kinds of weird shit would happen. So I spent a lot of time fixing this thing up to make it kind of work. And then I finally was able to buy a real 3D printer that I could probably make this even better with now, but I don't care about it anymore. So it sits on the speaker, gathering dust in the corner, and it's a conversation piece at this point. So
there you go. That's awesome. I love it. I love
what do you got, Mitch?
Let's see. My next Craigslist ad. I need a free.
Right?
I need a free stapler.
I'm Italian.
I need some free Bitcoin. You can go down the list, Clint.
So I'm Italian, right? And I got this uncle. He gave me this tape. And,
Professor.
And this tape's really good tape. I mean, you can like tape somebody up with this stuff and they never get out. No, just kidding. I got this Litecoin coin here back from Johnny Litecoin. And it was my very first meetup that I ever went to, and it was in Jersey.
Yeah.
My first time I met up with Clint Westwood here. And him and myself and my little brother flew up from Texas, and J-Mac and Silvertooth, we all rode together. We rented a car and we rode out to New Jersey together. It was a hell of a road trip. And met Johnny Litecoin, and Johnny hooked me up, face to face for the first time, and he hooked me up with this coin. So this my memorabilia from that time. And it started this roller coaster of events and explosion of network and friends and family. It's just been amazing ever since. So that's my show and tell.
Love it.
It's great.
And the tape was pretty good too.
The tape counts.
It's good survival tape, if nothing else.
There you go. You might need that.
I might need that one day. That's right.
Hey guys, I'm going to drop off, man.
All right, man. It was good to have you on.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks for showing up.
Good to see you all. Have a good night.
Good to see you too.
Take it easy.
So Truth Raider and Rob, I want to thank you both for backing me up 2 weeks ago from the rap battle bullshit. You know,
that was kind of like, what the fuck?
It still sat with me for that whole following week, you know, and it's just like, let it go. But man, that is.
I got a lot of shit for that from him. Like, he's like kind of a friend of mine, and like even off the air, he's all pissed off at me and went full SJW and got mad that I came at him, and I'm like, dude, you made it public, right? If you had an issue, right? Don't like start going off on people. But it's like interesting because he's like not normally like that politically. I really like him as a person. I've hung out with him multiple times now.
Yeah,
and
met him myself. I was kind of blown away by it myself. But
I just like to think maybe he's just having a hard time.
Well, I seen that he stepped away from Twitter for a while, according to his Twitter page. So maybe he was having a rough day or whatever.
That's kind of what I was thinking. And I mean, I can see what he saw and what he thought and why he felt the way he did. If we had been doing what he thought we were doing, and going out there on a sponsorship and making money trying to do a rap battle, and then I could kind of see where he was coming from. But yeah, no, when you're just going out there for fun and fucking around, like, we know we can't rap. Like, we're not gonna try to prove anything. We're just fucking around, having a good time, trying to give people some smiles, and it is what it is. And yeah, we're all having kind of a rough time. This is a crazy time, and I think it really fucks with your head. And so
it does.
I've seen a lot of people on Twitter kind of acting differently than they normally do, and I can understand it. There's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on a lot of people right now, and we're not all that different here on Twitter. Some of us are, but for the most part, we're all just the average dude trying to get by.
Just sorry I was born without rhythm.
Dude, man, me too. Benza, what's going on, man? You got some time on your lunch break to sneak away for a minute?
Benza, what's happening, mate?
You might be on mute. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's speaker.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. Must be the microphone.
What's going on, man?
Headphone. Yeah.
How are you, bud?
Yeah, getting there yourselves?
Good. Yeah, work.
Yeah, still work. Yeah, 6 start, finish at 2:00.
Right on.
Yeah, worked yesterday as well. I'm working Easter Monday too.
Good for you. Bringing home some money. Hell yeah.
Kicking some ass.
That's right.
He never slows down, I'll tell you that much.
Nope.
What's how's life in Australia right now, man?
Can't really hear you.
Can you hear us okay?
It's pretty crackly. I guess it's just my reception here.
Oh, all right.
Damn. Well, we are only going halfway across the world.
Right.
Can't complain too much.
The world.
I'll try.
Phil, let's see if we can get. Cool, man.
They don't have Wi-Fi there.
Supposed to be a show and tell, wasn't it?
Yeah. You got a show and tell for us.
Did you do it?
So the biggest engine I work on.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
It's a 78-liter V18.
That's cool.
I've got a 52 Chevy that's looking for a new motor.
Put that on your three-wheeler, Professor.
I'll chuck the microphone, the headphones in so I can. Yeah, can't hear now.
Sure. There you go. Is that better?
See if that works.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. What is that engine for? Where does that go in?
Losses.
He gone.
We need more information. We can't have bad connections right now. We've got a fascinating.
Guys, sorry.
That's okay, Benza. We got your podcast rebooked. I think we're on the 25th now, so don't worry. We'll get plenty of explanations.
Everything else is fading out. Well, I'll have to just leave you, fella. Sorry.
All right, take it easy, man.
Cheers, mate. That sucks.
It does.
Next time.
Next
time, man.
The wonderful world of technology that works most of the time.
Right.
It's one of those times where I sit there and I'm like, fuck. But then I think, I guess I can't complain too much. We did just kind of beam magic video of myself and everybody else from 8 other different places in the world to Australia and back in milliseconds. So we're doing pretty cool things, I guess.
Exactly. Do you guys ever think that tech will get to the point to where all the glitches go away? It's all perfect.
No, I think they just get more complex and more complicated, right? And trickier to figure out. And you just kind of keep evolving. You might have no glitches and technologies like this, but the next thing you're working with still has all kinds of glitches because you never stop building. The only time glitches go away is if you stop building and you only focus on fixing the old shit, but you're always building.
Solar flares never go away either, so you'll always have digital problems.
Yeah, speaking of solar flare, there's a reason my face is glowing right now. Is because the window is open and the sun is setting, and I'll probably end up turning rainbow at some point because we've got that like stuff over the window on the bottom half of the window that
he's covering up for it now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm covering up.
I mean, think about it like this, though. I mean, I'm old, so I remember dial-up and having to deal with trying to look at video and images on dial-up. And I remember Windows 2000 and Windows 97, where you had to like constantly reboot to keep it running, like in the middle of your program. You know, I would contend that those things are largely not problems anymore, which is great, right? So things do advance.
The freaking noises and stupid things used to make.
56K, man, 56K.
And the first thing you'd hear when it finally connected is, "You've got mail."
You've got mail. That was such an exciting sound too, though, especially because when AOL was a thing, I was still pretty young. I was in elementary school or maybe early middle school, but yeah. So it was like, I got mail. Who's sending me mail? It was fun.
You're waiting for it to connect. You're just like, okay, like, okay, we're good. And then remember the picture pixelating?
Yes. It starts coming down. It gets about halfway through and freezes, and you're like, "Oh, come on!"
No, don't stop there. But do you remember like ICQ and that little thing that? Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
And the early internet was interesting.
Or when we thought floppy disks were the shit.
I used floppy disks so much. Of course, my floppy disk was the latter generation of floppy disk, the 1.44 megabyte, 3.5-inch floppy disk that was no longer floppy except for on the inside.
That's
but
right.
Although I shouldn't say, when I started in early elementary school, we had the Apple IIe's and the old 5 1/4s, and I still use plenty of them. But when I was really heavily getting into computers and first getting into programming, I was writing all my code and saving it on a 3.5-inch floppy disk. And I
dude, remember,
cool as
you ever tried to load like Windows 95 from 3.5 to like 33?
Yes, you're like, okay, next one. Maybe that's another show and tell item.
Oh, that one doesn't work. What do I do with like disk number 27 of 30 doesn't work? What do I yeah, you'll never know. You know, I joke around.
He's going
people
into the sock drawer and getting the.
I had to grab this because it was right near me.
Yeah,
I've talked about it on the show several times. Does anybody remember this game?
Stunt
Island.
This was my favorite game. We had it on an IBM PS1, which, okay, let's go through the specs here. 23 megahertz processor. Okay, it was a 286. It had 129 megabyte hard drive, and it came with 2 megabytes of RAM, but my dad had an upgrade kit to 4 megabytes. Okay, This is a fucking flight simulator. You could actually fly a plane and land it and all kinds of shit. You could drop an egg onto a cop car from a plane that looked like a duck. I mean, this was top-notch shit for Windows 3.1. Like, what? Look at this shit. Okay, but speaking of floppy drives, this is the same kind of situation. Not as bad as Windows.
You brought up a good question. What was your first PC?
Mine was an IBM PS1. That was the first one that I ever used as a kid. But my first one that I owned was a Tandy, and I don't remember T1000.
2500.
I had a TI. But my parents were so cheap.
Hangman.
We didn't have the cassette player, so I couldn't save data.
Damn, I didn't have the cassette player either. I got my Tandy. Of course, mine was
Radio Shack.
I had a Commodore.
I got mine for free from my aunt.
I think it was a
Commodore VIC 20.
Yeah,
Commodores,
something like that.
Yeah,
I never played on a Commodore when I was a kid. I did though get Commodores. This must have been the year before I learned about Bitcoin. And anyway, I got a whole stack of Commodore 64s from a guy on Craigslist for like $50. He had an entire room full. I ended up with like 12 machines, and I had boxes and boxes and boxes of accessories and games and all kinds of shit. And I kept a couple of things and played with it. I should have kept one of the Commodores, but I was, fresh out of high school hurting for money. So I sold every bit of it. But I had a lot of fun going through that and messing around with it.
My kid bought this old Mac computer. I say old. I don't even know how old this thing is. It's old. Anyways, we went to pick it up, and he grabbed this part, and he's like, "Can you grab that?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right." Oh my God, I about threw my back out picking this stupid, I don't know if it was the hard drive or what it was, but holy crap, that thing was heavy. I was like, Jesus, what is this thing, lead? I mean, it had to be 70 pounds. And it wasn't that big. It's crazy.
That's probably about like I had a Mac 575. I don't remember what the model number was, to be honest. I think it was 575, but this was in high school when I first got into eBay, and I sold that to some guy in Japan. And that thing was, it had the old CRT monitor and the computer and everything all built into it. It was probably 40 or 50 pounds. I got like $180 for that. I thought I was rolling in it. I was like junior year of high school. I was rich out my wildest dreams.
Did you have like the oval back Macs when you were in school? Like they were like green. They had like the green backing.
Yeah, the
back.
iMac, the G3s, the G3s when they were different colors and they had that handle on the top.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Have you ever seen the Think?
We got
Different
one
video?
of those.
Go on YouTube and look up a video called Think Different. It's an old Apple parody video, just kind of a joke video. And there's one point in there where the guy's talking about those particular Macs, and he's like, "See this handle on top? That's so you can tie a rope to it and use it as a fucking boat anchor."
Yeah, right.
And I was like, "Yeah, that's about as useful as they are these days." We had one of our animation teachers at the Career Center in high school had an old Mac Apple IIe that he used to put as a doorstop, piss off all the Apple guys.
Oh, crazy times, man. It's fun. It's fun looking back on some of the stuff we used to have to do. It was like when cable television first came out and it was actually a cable that connected the remote control to the box.
Do you remember On TV?
Oh yeah. I remember On TV.
Was that only Michigan? Where was On TV?
God, I don't know.
Do you guys? So On TV.
It might have only been in Michigan.
So On TV was like, was it if so? It was like over the air cable, and you had like a box that descrambled at like 8 o'clock or something at night.
Right.
On TV came on, and then it scrambled, and it had like it was like early Cinemax. And I remember the first remote when cable came to Michigan, the Detroit area, and it was like a white controller with like a telephone cord that ran across the living room. And I remember my dad was really drunk, and my brother and I were like fighting. We ripped the cord out. My dad just went ballistic. I like, dude, I was like 7 or something, and that was truly horrifying when we broke the cable remote. Or something at night. On TV came on, and then it scrambled, and it had like it was like early Cinemax.
Somebody not muted?
Yeah, right.
We
got feedback from the stream.
It was like a white controller with like a telephone.
Can't see which microphone is flashing. That's okay. We can listen to ourselves for a while.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's like an echo.
Nicole, welcome. What's going on?
Hi. Sorry, I don't have my video on. There it is.
There it is.
There it is. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Sorry you were hanging out in the waiting room so long there. We weren't sure. I was not looking at your whole name, and I just saw Nicole popping up, and we've had so many Zoom bombers, so we've been letting people wait for a while until they hang on long enough that we're sure they're not going to broadcast Pornhub to us. So it's good to have another real person join the call. Welcome.
Nicole, welcome. What's going
Thanks. Hi.
Sorry, I don't have my video on.
All right, I'm going to mute people one at a time until we figure
That's
out.
not me, I don't think.
Good. How are you?
I know it's not me. Oh, it's Nicole.
Uh-oh, Nicole. Do you have the stream playing in the background? Or is it on your computer? Maybe the stream audio is coming through your microphone.
Yeah, like from earlier.
Yeah.
I recorded. I don't know why.
Do you have headphones? Put headphones on.
Yes, I have headphones.
Nice. You know, it's a good thing that somebody thought of headphones, because the very simplest solution here is just totally escaping me. I can't handle it.
Right.
So I guess I should unmute Clint. He's probably over there trying to talk to us, and I've just muted him.
Yeah.
All right, Clint, you're unmuted. You're free.
It's all good. I'm all right.
Headphones? Put headphones on.
Yes.
She needs to just shut off the, like, if she's playing it in the background, she should shut that off.
Yeah, we can just shut off the audio in the background, or mute the stream. There we go. Nice.
Almost.
We'll wait.
Almost.
Well,
Not
so I
quite.
guess I should unmute Clint. He's probably over there trying to die. That's okay. All right. Nicole, do you see Are you on a Mac or a Windows?
She needs to just shut off the if she's playing
This is awesome.
I'll figure it out.
Hey, at least it's fun. At least it's good.
That's right. That's right. You gotta laugh.
Bingo. Dixie got it.
Yes, he
Honestly,
did.
Here's what we're talking. Who had AOL?
Oh my God, who didn't have AOL?
Who had AOL back in the
Right?
day? That was money back in the day, man. There was nothing compared to. You had Netscape and you had AOL. That's it. There was two options.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, and you won't believe this, in 2003, we ran our business because most of our staff was in Kansas. We all used AIM in the morning to log on, and that's how we communicate, was with Instant Messenger.
Instant Messenger, yes. I remember that.
And everybody had their screen name, so everything was all about a screen name. It was hilarious. Everybody's asking whose Instant Messenger name this is, and it was funny.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you're unmuted.
Okay.
But we can still hear it now.
Oh yeah, we can still hear the.
If you have a
That's
browser
weird.
open, shut the browser off and just
Okay.
be in the Zoom app.
Yeah, that's probably what.
Yeah, just be in the Zoom app.
That's better.
There
There
we
she
go.
goes. She got it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob. We couldn't figure out how to ask the right questions.
It was hilarious.
Oh, wait, come back.
Wait, come back.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you're unmuted. Oh no, it was fixed for a minute.
So
We can still hear it
how
now.
are you, and what is your Twitter handle name?
This would be NerdGirl007. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear us. We can hear you. Weird.
No.
There we go. Thanks, Rob. We couldn't figure out how to ask the right
She's got. It sounds like she's got a browser.
Yeah,
open.
she's
I think she
still
has a
got.
browser
Got the
open.
stream. She needs to shut the stream off if she can.
Yeah, Nicole, do you have the YouTube video playing or the Periscope video
I
playing?
don't have anything. I just closed it.
That's
Maybe
crazy.
it.
There we go. That's
I
it.
think that did it.
You did it. Sweet.
Yay!
That's so weird. I hate phantom weird problems like that. They're so fun to try and find.
Right?
Nice.
It's all
Awesome.
about technology, right?
So now we figured that out. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you on here.
Guys,
Heck yeah.
Now that we've put you on the spot for a couple minutes, so
Right?
break the ice nice and early, right? So, did you bring a show and tell item for us?
I was gonna wait and see what other people's show and tell items were first
Okay.
because there's different
Make
ways
sure it's
to
on there.
make that.
Okay, so Paul, what was yours? I'm terrible at remembering.
Mine was
Oh yeah, he
Paul had a water
He had his
bottle.
water bottle. Rob had
Actually has
had his Glock.
his water bottle's unique because you can push a button and it injects stuff into his water. Like,
gets
you know,
injected with chemicals.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
we were wondering what chemicals he was injecting, and he wouldn't divulge to us.
You know, like
unfortunately.
energy drink stuff. I don't know what's that? Vitamin stuff,
Energy
vitamin
drink.
additives to water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And Rob had a Glock, and he had. I'm going off memory here. Yeah, and he had a flashlight for his Glock.
Wow.
And Truth
Yeah.
Raider had a solar charger for your phone, which is really cool. And Clint had a 5-ounce silver coin.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So,
Mitch had a what?
Oh, Mitch had a silver coin too, but he also had some tape from his uncle Guido.
Yeah, that he was going to tie somebody up with. And...
okay, so do you want to see a gold coin or my dog?
How about both?
Yeah, right. There you go.
Ollie Bear, come here. So this is my dog.
Aw.
He's really cute. I like him. He's really needy, but
How many Bitcoin does he own?
none.
Damn.
And
gotta
he
fix
doesn't
that.
know anything about Bitcoin.
Well, come on. You should be educating him.
Yeah, I mean, at least I teach my daughter, right?
Exactly.
There you go.
That's
There you
counts.
go.
It's better than nothing.
Yep.
That's
Preferably
right.
the daughter than the dog, I guess, if we have to pick one.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't think that he could, understand Bitcoin since he doesn't understand money.
Minor detail. He'll
Yeah.
get there. If you teach him well enough.
Nicole, is that dog a Maltese?
Yeah, he is. He's a Maltese.
Yeah, see, we've got a Maltese also. I was looking around. She's not in here right now, but usually she shows
She's
up
usually
and
in
barks
there.
once in a while. Yeah, she's usually in here, but I'd hold her up, but I don't have her. But yeah, we have a Maltese.
Dad, let me out. Dad, come on, Dad. I gotta go. I gotta go. Let
I
me
know.
out.
No,
All the time. She'll probably come in here now and start barking at me.
Right? We've talked about her.
Sure.
So what's your gold coin?
Okay, I'll get the gold coin.
All right.
You got gold coins on the wall, man. It was like,
Yeah,
I know,
there they are.
right?
They're-
It's
I'm-
got
they're right there.
Litecoin and Bitcoin.
Yeah, Monero.
Where's the great Brian won't work?
That's awesome. Oh, your virtual screen don't work?
Yeah.
Oh,
Here.
that's
Back to the
because
bank
Paul's
app.
unfortunately unable to go to the moon.
Oh, you're close.
Yeah.
There's part of it.
Shiny.
You're
Can't
half
quite see
on. Oh. There you are. Oh.
Oh.
Wow. That's like the Invisible Man. That's kind of cool.
What do you mean?
That was neat.
Oh,
okay.
Paul was
There
half
you are.
disappeared.
Yeah, Paul had
great.
half disappeared with his background. That's really cool.
All right, tell us about the coin.
So it's
Where'd it
a
come from?
gold coin that I have.
What's
That's
it? What's
an
it
eagle?
from?
What's it? It's a Liberty, I think. I don't know. I don't know if it's called an eagle. Oh yeah, it is. It's an eagle. Yeah.
Those are nice. Real good coin.
Cool.
Gotta have the coins. I mean, virtual is wonderful and all, but there's something special about holding. I don't know, the feeling of coins, like especially the nice weighty ones. There's just a feeling like a book versus an ebook.
Well,
You know,
like
I love
when-
Bitcoin. I really love Bitcoin, but there's something about physical currency that just feels good as far as coins go.
Well, everyone who I know, like the, CFP who I work for said when the economy crashes, gold will go with it too, but Bitcoin will go much, much further because people will be scared initially about having enough money to, pay their mortgage or rent. And I don't know, that made a lot of sense to me. So I left my, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies alone, but converted everything from my bank account into gold.
Oh,
I think it's
cool.
good to have a balance for sure. I mean, there's different, everything's going to be valuable in its own way for a while. And we've talked about the concept of, is it possible for gold to actually be totally devalued and could it go to zero? And maybe, but what kind of crazy circumstances would have to happen for that to be the case and how long, So I think there's always going to be value to it, at least, even if it's not quite the same as it is now. So
I don't know why, people, especially in the crypto world, tried to make enemies of the gold world, and the
because
precious
everybody's
metal
got to have
world.
somebody to fight, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's like, they're not your enemy. If you want to pick on something, it ain't precious metals. Like if you're into crypto, like that's an ally. Why do you want to pick that fight? And other than it's the maxi store value argument. What's that?
We've bought that one before.
Yeah,
Worth on gold.
I like gold. I
Well,
like
the thing is, I mean,
platinum.
when it
I think-
comes to trading something of value, whether it's gold, silver, whether it's a tool that somebody needs, I mean, when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of bartering back and forth and trading something of value for something of value, if it got to those times of archaic times where you don't have digital transfers, you can't go onto the internet and buy stuff, you can't go online and buy something, and it comes down to, Joe, what do you got that I need, and what do I have that you need, and that we're trading back and forth, right? I mean, for the more primitive side of it, I think that's what's going to be important.
Yeah, and I
So
mean,
I don't think gold or silver, either one of them, would lose their value in that nature.
But I think that in a lot of ways, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is so much more practical than gold because you can carry a lot more of it and it's a lot more easily divisible. I mean, how many times am I transacting with somebody where the total that I owe them is the value, equal to the
Right.
value of this coin?
Right.
So like change can become a problem.
Right.
But in the event that the internet's not working, like Bitcoin doesn't work, plus Bitcoin is a lot more volatile than gold, and I knew that I needed to have enough to like pay my rent for a year and stuff. So
But one of the things that I think about is that before the internet, having things like precious metals sort of made sense. But in the world of internet-based commerce, I wonder, again, if you're holding gold coins or silver coins, what are you going to do with that? Everything is internet-based commerce. Everything is digital for the most part. And you're needing to order something from Amazon. Well, I can't do anything with a gold coin to order something from Amazon, but I could if I had digital assets. If I did the Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it. If I had that, I can still use that as a medium of exchange and use it. Whereas with the gold coin, I'm sitting there with a hunk of metal and that's like, I can't do anything with it.
Well, the only reason gold has a value is because nation states are going to keep buying it. That's the only reason. Gold would be worthless. It'd be $0. The only reason it's worth 1 penny is because nations buy it.
And it looks pretty.
Really? You don't think the billions of dollars every year spent on jewelry is a thing? You don't think the cladding of electronics for connections isn't a thing?
It'd be the price of copper if it wasn't for the fact that nations stockpile it as a reserve asset. That's
the thing is, you got thousands of years of acceptance, and you can't dismiss that. I mean, maybe in 30 years things might change, but
here's something though, Dave. So maybe it only has value because nations buy it and stock it. But then if you're a person who wants to make sure that you maintain a certain value and maintain a certain purchasing power, and you don't want something as volatile as Bitcoin, because I know how much it can go up, how much it's likely to go up soon, but I also know how much it can drop. So if you're a responsible person who's trying to make sure that you have enough in assets for the next year, and dollars don't really hold their value, particularly not with what we're seeing with the Federal Reserve printing right now, what would you suggest as a better store of value?
No, I agree with you. I'm just
okay, there we go.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying the only reason that gold has value is because nations stockpile it. If nations
which makes it more scarce at that point.
Exactly. Nations hold billions of dollars of gold for one reason, because they use it as a reserve asset in case their fiat collapses. If they did not do that, then all of our gold would be worthless.
But it's not, because there's demand for gold outside of nation states. I mean, go. Larry, this is platinum, not gold, but you go show me a girl who wants a copper wedding ring. No, she wants a gold wedding ring or a platinum wedding ring.
But how do you? Let me ask you this, Rob. How do I have this silver, right? Or if this was gold, how do I get this to, like Paul was saying, to a tangible way of trading for value?
It's not
how do I get its value for it?
That's not what its purpose is. Just like if I own real estate, I don't own real estate because I want to take my real estate and sell that store of value.
No, but you can
buy
groceries.
But okay, but you could borrow against your gold with paper gold too if you wanted to. I mean, there are options for that. The thing is, I'm saying is, there's a lot of people that are in crypto and they have no other assets in any other asset classes, and I think that's not good investing. To be honest,
diversified.
It's amateur. It's very amateur, to be honest. And so, I look at things as asset classes, and I allocate. I have paper assets, I have precious metals, I have real estate, and I have crypto, and I have allocations in every one of those asset classes. So I'm diversified not only within, like I have more than one stock, I have more than one mutual fund, I have more than one crypto. So I'm diversified within an asset class, and then I'm diversified across asset classes. And I think that makes more sense to me, because I think being all in on one super, super high risk, high volatile investment, or I don't think that's smart investing. I just don't think that's a good idea. But there's a lot of people that in crypto that think that way. But I also believe a lot of those people that I've talked to, at least, that have never had anything of any other value anyway. So it's like, but I just think that's dangerous way to invest money. But I don't think that one asset class is the enemy of another asset class. They do different things. They have different risk profiles.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Gold is a great asset only because nation states hold it. Otherwise, they'd be.
This is going to be a circle. We can tell how this is going to work.
So, Dave, do you think that a nation state will one day adopt a digital asset as a store of value instead of gold?
No, I think that nation states are going to adopt stable coins. Only it's going to be called like the yen, the won, the dollar, and they're just going to use a digitized version of what they already have and wash debt away.
Will it be one that's a reserve?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like the US dollar right now, we're never going to pay the debt off. Everybody in everybody in America knows we'll never pay off the debt. So what they're going to do is they're going to wash the debt away and create a new dollar, which is going to be called the digital dollar or USD,
And that will be
start
reserved.
stable coin or the reserve dollar. They're going to call something, and they're just
Right.
going to wash everything over and start over, and it'll be a stable coin, only Federal Reserve backed. They already tried to do it. They tried to do it a month ago. They tried to create it a month ago in the stimulus bill.
We've covered it every time they've tried to bring up Fed coin, the like $2 trillion platinum coins.
It'll
Yeah.
be a stable coin, 100%.
About this.
US dollar will be a stable coin, in my opinion.
I agree. That's definitely the next step. What comes after that when everybody loses faith in that stable coin and it crashes with the dollar?
The question is, what's it stabilized or pegged to?
Also, a good point. Why it would have no faith in backing and it's not going to work. You know,
Think about it. The US government backs whatever currency is available, right? What's the average lifespan of any currency ever?
Like 100 years.
100 years. So it doesn't matter if it's shit, as long as it's shit for 100 years until the next.
right. Valid point. So okay, so let's change this question to what events have to happen, or what state does the world have to be in for, let's say, one of the first world governments to adopt an existing non-government controlled cryptocurrency like Bitcoin today?
It's not.
And is it
no
actually
ma-
even possible?
I don't think any major state's ever going to try to. They're never going to give up their power willingly or voluntarily. I don't believe that any major nation state is going to go out and be on Bitcoin or Ethereum or any public blockchain ever. They're never going to do it. They'll create something on their own that they control.
I would agree with you, Ed, and I think it would have to be something that we couldn't even fathom to even get that to happen. And even then, I think at best we would see maybe some third world countries or somebody who's struggling economically maybe try something like that. But I agree, primary world leader would actually attempt that.
I mean, think about it.
I'll be right back.
Is the
Gotta
digital
let the
dollar?
dog
I
out.
mean, the digital dollar. Most of the dollar transactions are already digital now. I mean, if you think about it, it's just
It's
I
a
don't think
new architecture behind it.
I don't even know if the architecture is going to be that different. It'll probably be something permissioned or semi-permissioned on Interledger or whatever technology they use. They're not going to let the market control the price of their stable coin or whatever it's pegged to.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Because they're not going to do it. They're just going to have some semi-permissioned thing. And I agree with Truth Raider. I think they're going to go through and they'll probably try to wash it at some kind of weird thing and what have you. But they're not going to allow the market to determine the value of it either, because again, they lose control if they do that, and they're not going to allow that to happen. That's why it's like with our project with Tusk, I don't want to be. People have asked us about being a stablecoin. I don't want to be a stablecoin. I go, volatility goes away when people use something. That's why, I want the market to determine the value. I don't want an arbitrary government institution determining what our value is, and I don't want to be pegged to something that I don't have any influence over what that value is, other than, creating something that's used by people. And that's what we've been doing because we're signing up retailers and things. But I don't want to have I don't want to be pegged to the dollar. They can, think of all the stable coins that are like, Tether and things now. Do you want to really be pegged to the dollar that they're, printing how many trillions, $5 trillion? I don't know what the hell they've done in the last 3 days or whatever.
No, it's fantastic for trading, and that's about it. And even then, I'm trading in Bitcoin. So
exactly. But, ideally, stable coins are supposed to be stable. But the problem is if you're stabilized and pegged to something that's constantly losing value, is that really that great either? I don't
and that's that's realistically the biggest issue behind coming up with a good stable coin is, what do you peg it to? Do you peg it to a currency? Do you peg it to a basket of currencies like Libra was trying to do? Do you peg it to a physical object like gold? What do you do? There's companies trying to come up with mathematical concepts of maintaining stable coins, and it's just not happening. It's not.
I don't like stable coins. I don't like them at all because they're arbitrarily pegged. And
like you say, Bitcoin, if it's used and if it becomes a widely adopted thing, it will become stable by nature.
Exactly. I mean, why is the US dollar stable? Like, you look at other fiat currencies, right? We have like 135 or 150 fiat currencies around the world, right? Some are super volatile, some are not, some are very stable. And it comes down to, how widely used they are, how much utility they have. And when their utility starts to die, meaning that they print too much and people lose confidence, then they become more volatile. That's pretty typical even with fiat currency. That doesn't really change with, arbitrarily pegging things to other assets, because those underlying things. Now, I think it makes more sense if you're going to do that, to peg it to a basket of well diversified assets. But to me, because we've had these conversations as a project numerous times trust me, we spent 6 months trying to figure out how we were going to build our project. And that was all those decision making that we made. And I said, look, I don't want to be pegged to something I don't have any influence over, or our community doesn't have influence over. And I certainly don't want to be pegged to an asset that is going to go crazy. And I don't have any, like the US dollar. And I think, let's focus not on, and I think stable coins are kind of like, they're trying to have a Band-Aid instead of focusing on getting adoption. They're focused on, well, we think adoption is this volatility problem. They think, because they don't talk to customers, because people that came up with stable coins don't actually talk to customers. I talk to customers. And you know what? The biggest objection I have to people that are interested in, using crypto is not volatility. That is not what people's biggest concerns are. And if you go talk to like retailers, people about using your crypto, that is not what they lead with. And so I think when people always went down this stable coin direction, it's because they actually weren't talking to potential end users, which they should have been. And I said, I think as a direction, people should focus on getting their project used, not trying to come up with a Band-Aid of this arbitrary pegging and all the conflicts and wash trading and weird shit that goes on with stable coins. And we're seeing that with Maker and all the other things that are out there. Anyways, I don't have opinions about any of this stuff.
No. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that we see so many projects that are trying to build. So they have like,
jump off here, Professor. I gotta jump off.
Clint, take it easy, man. It was good to have you on.
In the shower. It's killing me because this is a good conversation that I want to be in.
There will be more, my man.
I know. All right, guys.
Have a good night.
Talk to you soon, brother.
Talk to you. Bye now.
No, I would love to tell you what I was saying, but I honestly don't remember.
I tend to Rob on this. Like I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, but I'm a realist. But I think stable coins are going to win. This is where I disagree with Rob. Stable coins are going to crush everything that's out there, because what you're going to see is companies are going to start using stable coins. Nations are going to become stable coins, and stable coins are going to be the currency of the future. Bitcoin's going to still be around. It's going to still be out there doing its thing. And I'm 100% Bitcoin guy, but I'm not ignoring the fact that stable coins will take over. You can ignore it all you want, but it's going to destroy all these great projects out there that are happening, because stable coins make sense because of volatility, and they're easy.
Because it's got the word stable in it.
They're very easy to create. A stable coin is super easy to create. Any company, any nation can create a stable coin, and it's very simple, like extremely simple. And you peg it to the US dollar, game over.
I will correct you in my opinion and say that stable coins will be a phase. I feel like there's going to be a point in time where, yeah, stable coins are going to take hold for a little bit. Like you say, especially on the commerce side, retailers, they don't like risk. And there's definitely a use case for stable coins there, but I don't think in the long run, stable coins are what we need. And I think eventually we'll see that.
How do you negate entire nations becoming stable coins? That's
I mean, that's the thing. If you want to think of it that way, I mean, if you want to talk of it as like the US dollar issued on the blockchain as a stable coin, but I'm referring, and maybe that was my mistake in understanding what you were saying, but I'm referring to full decentralized stable coin in replacing Bitcoin being a non-government controlled entity. I don't think those are going to actually be.
I'm talking about the next evolution of blockchain crypto is going to be nation states and companies adopting stable coins to do international commerce. That's already happened.
Yeah. So when you phrase it that way, then I would say that that's going to happen at some point for sure, because governments want that stability and they're going to still have control, and stablecoin is what people are going to want. But again, only temporarily.
Well, I would say that I don't ignore anything in crypto. So Truth Raider, just let you know, I don't ignore things. Okay. I pay attention to things, and I'm also flexible and I'm open-minded. And one of the things is, our project, we're led by entrepreneurs, not developers. And so we look at risks, we look at where trends are going. So for instance, if it made sense that the trends were that stablecoins are the only thing they're going to make it, there's all sorts of technological things as a community we can vote to make ourselves a stablecoin if we choose to. There's always that option. And I think the other thing is that the atomic swap technology. So you can have an asset that might float, we're seeing more and more of these swapping sites and these swapping apps and things that are just instantaneous, moving back and forth to, against stable coins from market driven coins. So I don't necessarily think that every crypto out there is going to be crushed. I do believe that there's going to be a tremendous amount of consolidation in the crypto markets because, I would say 90% of the crypto products out there are largely dead as it is, but people are refusing to like pull them off the exchanges. So I do believe that going forward, there will be a tremendous amount of consolidation in the markets with different cryptos. Absolutely. I do believe there's going to be there will be a ton of these kind of, things that happen out there, but that doesn't mean you're going to get crushed if you don't plan for it, if you're not paying attention to it and you ignore it. But if you're paying attention and say, look, this is what people want, this is what companies are leaning toward, they want stable coins, there's things we can do to, modify and change what we're doing. I mean, that's what, that's why you have an ongoing development team, and that's why you grow. And I think that that's just part of that. So I think the projects that are very stubborn, we can get into things like Steam It and what they were doing and what happened there, and the thing is, to use it as an analogy, I think, and from at least what I've read about that thing, is that they could have evolved because Steam was dying. Let's just be honest. As a blockchain to Steam It, people were losing interest. It was dying, and that was a Hail Mary. And then the community didn't like the way it went down, and did Steam It, the company, own those coins or not? And but the thing is, that could have been a thing where going forward, think about it. I got thinking, there might be opportunities in the future to growth hack cryptos by buying out other crypto communities, with their consent.
That's what Binance does every day of the week. It's Binance 101.
Yeah.
Have you guys paid much attention to the Sovereign at the Marshall Islands, the project that they're doing out there? If you haven't, I'd say take a look at that. It's sort of a stable coin, but it's a new monetary system. It is built on a blockchain. They have adopted it as legal tender and legal currency in the Marshall Islands. So it's going to be interesting to see where that one goes. But I'm watching that project to see, because I think that one does have some potential to gain traction.
Interesting. I hadn't even heard of it.
I'm not a stable coin peddler at all, man. Like I fucking hate stable coins, but I think between the STOs coming out, which are going to be securitized assets, are going to be huge, because Wall Street doesn't know how to fucking do anything right now with it comes to crypto, and they need securitized assets, and STOs are going to be big. I got that. Stable coins make sense for countries and big companies.
Mm-hmm.
But the Ethereum-based projects, I mean, you've got to have a use case. What is the use case in the real world for a lot of these Ethereum-based projects? And I don't see a lot of real-world applications, to be honest.
So,
that's my opinion.
I agree with you. But I absolutely agree. But so there's an interesting project. So I'm here in Salt Lake, and so Overstock's right by, Medici and Overstock are close to us. In fact, a couple Medici guys are advisors to Tusk, including Tron Black and Trent Larson. And so Bit is another. So Bit is coming out, and Medici's working on this. And so Bit is a crypto that is being worked in Dominica. Their central bank is going to be issuing their own coin. And so I know for a fact that they're working on that right now with their central bank down there in the Caribbean. So, there are like these little projects that are coming out there. And I think what's happening is that's where, think of these small island countries as like small startups, right? They can try and be experimental and try new things. And then, the big companies don't innovate. They just buy little companies. And I think you're going to see that with cryptos. And I think you're going to see that with, different currencies. But if you think about it, like, I don't think there's going to be just one. I think the maxis are fooling themselves. There's going to be probably, if you think about what's up?
3,000. Be thousands.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely believe. But I mean, look how many there's 150 whatever fiat currencies. So there's not even a precedent that there can be only one, even in the fiat analog world. And so where the crypto people think that it's just going to be one coin and that's all there's ever going to be, they're out of their minds. I mean, there's going to be all sorts of innovations and things that make sense. But that's the beauty.
Look at the NASDAQ, look at the New York Stock Exchange, look at the Toronto Stock Exchange, all the other exchanges. There's going to be thousands of cryptos. It's not going to go away.
Right.
I agree with you completely on that.
What do you guys think about the whole Binance buying CoinMarketCap thing?
Yeah.
A little bit of a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I would say that if it was at the United States, that I think the regulators would slap the shit out of that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
It'd have been
it
shut down
just-
so fast by the FTC.
I I'm not here to pick a fight with Binance.
No,
I don't
nobody
have an issue.
is.
But I think there's a huge moral hazard, and I think there's a huge conflict of interest with an exchange that has its own projects now owning the largest oracle in the world. I think that that's hugely problematic.
Yep.
Well, it's really insane too, because I think a lot of people don't understand the power that CMC has. I mean, we've seen entire tokens crash like crazy just from an error on CMC in the past. Like, shit has happened there. There's so much conflict of interest there beyond just the fact of ranking yourself that is insane.
Forget Binance for a second, man. Like, just think about how many times have you seen low caps with the market cap complete bullshit on the CMC?
Yeah, seriously, man. I mean, they're bad enough on their own as it is.
Right. They didn't need any help.
Well, as a low cap, I'll tell you this: I've applied 10 times, literally 10 times in 2 years to CoinMarketCap. They will not list us. And so it's interesting because we're on Coin Paprika, we're on Blockfolio, we've been on CoinGecko for a year and a half. And yeah, our volume and stuff, we're growing, it's just part of that process. But as a gatekeeper though, I like some of these other platforms a lot better, especially CoinGecko. But they are picking winners and losers because unfortunately, a lot of people still believe that if you're not on CoinMarketCap, you don't exist. And that's part of the problem. Like, if you're gonna be this universal, you should be listing everybody and not picking and choosing. And that's where that moral hazard with the way CMC has always been run as well, is that they are picking and choosing. And that's part of the problem because you can't get a Bittrex listing. And I look at it through the eyes of a project, right? And now, since we started as a token and then built a blockchain, and we've had to list twice now. So I've gone through this process, and it's really difficult because you can't even put in a reliable Bittrex application if you're not in CMC. So it's like CMC is still this weird gatekeeper, and they're very inconsistent. Like, if you look at their latest projects, that they post, some will have zero traffic and zero volume. Some will have decent volume. Some will have clearly faked volume. And then they'll say, well, we'll just have an untracked listing for you. Well, what do we need to do? We've been here 2 years. We are growing. We are getting retailers and customers and stuff. So it's like, it's tough. So I see CMC's got its own moral hazards to begin with and own conflicts of interest. And now they're being bought by the apparently the Google of crypto now. So I don't know. I don't think it's a positive thing, to be honest.
I like that statement. The Google of
the
crypto.
Google of crypto. I love
like
it. I'm going to use, can I use that? That's beautiful.
I don't know.
What do you guys think about Brave New Coin?
Brave New Coin?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. CMC gets so much attention, but Brave New Coin's out there as well, and they do the exact same thing for the most part. And I listened to the podcast, and I forget, I think it was with it was Crypto 101 when Matthew Aaron was running it, but he interviewed the CEO of Brave New Coin, the founder of Brave New Coin. And it just seemed like nobody talks about Brave New Coin. That's all I use when I look at my price, and I don't even look at CMC anymore. I use Brave New Coin, but it gets no attention whatsoever from anybody.
Honestly, never heard of it. I'm looking it up
first.
right now.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, Brave New Coins. I mean, it does exactly what CMC does. I think
it
it
probably
does
just
better.
picked up 4 more look at hers today.
Yeah,
I'm a CoinGecko guy personally.
Yeah, that's what I love. I love CoinGecko.
And I like the fact that CoinGecko, I have to dive into all their rules. So, I really look at all the rules to get listed and all the stuff. And CMC's played a lot of shenanigans with, who their partners are, as far as if you want to be in their top 200, you have to be on certain exchanges that are listed, and they have their little consortium, whereas, which is problematic. But CoinGecko, actually, they do things like they look at the depth of the order book, but then they look at the similar web results for every one of the exchanges. So you can say and start comparing exchanges and what their volume, they have their trust score process, but they're looking at, independent data sources to try to figure out which exchanges are completely full of shit and which ones seem to have legitimate traffic. And I think at least, I've talked to their CEO, Bobby Ong, and interviewed him on my podcast and stuff. And I really he seems legitimately like an honest guy. And so I like CoinGecko. I like CoinPaprika as well. As far as, but I'm looking at it again, working with them from the project side. CoinGecko gave us a chance, and they've really been growing, and they're like, I think CoinGecko is the number 2 now, isn't it, compared to behind CoinMarketCap?
Oh,
I believe so. Either them or Crypto Compare, I think, was doing pretty good at one point. I haven't looked at the charts in a long time.
I think the biggest problem is CZ basically, he bought CoinMarketCap. It's kind of like buying like the New York Stock Exchange, but you have access to all the data behind the scenes, and you can basically put whatever data you want on a website, and nobody can question it because nobody's smart enough to understand how to question it. So unfortunately, and that's kind of how, like I said, with all the low caps, like, you know, with all the wash trading and all the other data that gets manipulated, CoinMarketCap, they've manipulated data since it ever existed. In my opinion, this is just an opinion, but they've been able to do it. And now you used to have exchange volume data that was posted constantly on CoinMarketCap, but now Binance owns the data on all the exchanges that are being promoted through the website. So they can see all their competitors' data in real time, and they could potentially manipulate it if they want to, very easily. Not saying they will, just saying that they have the
no, but just having the potential is bad enough. I mean, that's why, and that kind of takes it to the next level too. Like we talk all the time about the concept of having autonomous policing in these decentralized ecosystems, and what has to happen for that to happen, and what issues do we have from it. I mean, it's not easy to say, let's make an AI that just magically determines, okay, you guys get to be listed and you guys don't, and this is legitimate, and how do we trust that? So there's a whole big world ahead of us in the AI world of trying to come up with these ranking sites or these statistics websites that are truly unbiased and truly factual, and only that. But that is extremely tall order. What do you guys think about that? And are we on track for that anytime soon?
Damn, I would say this: so far, I'm not seeing the community self-police itself for shit.
Not yet. That's for sure.
Hey, dude, isn't Wall Street going into AI? Isn't AI being integrated in Wall Street trading though as well?
Sure. I mean, AI is being used all over the place. It's just how hard is it to build one that can? How do you build a statistics source or platform like that is automatically run with no human interaction, that can be totally unbiased and actually collect this information and display it in a truly unbiased fashion? I mean, that's what we need maybe going forward, but is it even possible?
Right.
Wait, wasn't there a consortium of the exchanges getting together to create a organization that self-police themselves?
Yeah, that was CoinMarketCap's thing. And if you look at the players that were involved with that, they were the shadiest exchanges out there.
Yeah, it's like putting the head of every mob member in the world together to have them be the judge and jury of, you know,
because it was called an SRO, the SROs.
But the problem is like, to even get in the top 200 on CoinMarketCap, you had to be on one of those players' exchanges. But all those players are the ones that are still charging you $100,000 listing fees to get on.
Yep.
This is my biggest problem with Ethereum, man. Like, this is why I'm like I'm not an anti-Ethereum guy, but I really don't like Ethereum. You can play so many games because Ethereum with ERC20s, and not only that, with just the actual supply of Ethereum, but that's a different subject. You can play a shitload of games with ERC20s. And I see over the next 5-10 years, just the shenanigans on Ethereum are going to be out of control. Like I just, who's regulating Ethereum ERC20s? Who's regulating the market? Who's regulating the blockchains that are built on Ethereum? Nobody. It's just it's a shit show.
But do we want regulation?
Right.
I'm not arguing for Ethereum, but do we want regulation?
I'm not pushing for regulation. I'm saying that what I'm saying is right now there's a Wild West in ERC20 tokens. Everybody knows.
Yep.
You can say, I mean, I'm a pretty big Bitcoin guy. I'm not a huge Ethereum guy, but it's a Wild West in ERC20s. Who's keeping it in check? And it should be us, not a government. It should be us. But are we really regulating internally ERC20s? And I would say It's going to get crazy.
Well, and can we ever? I mean, it's not an easy concept to come up with a decentralized regulation model. It's not. It would exist right now in so many ways because there's so many different use cases for something like that, and that we struggle with that in so many different areas. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of bad shit that happens going forward because of things like this and things that we can't implement, but hopefully some positive comes out of it in the long run.
I mean, my best example is the whole ICO market.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the best example.
That's the shining example of Ethereum, right? Like, just ICOs were ungodly. Now we have IEOs, we've got STOs. I mean, I don't know what is, but they're all shit shows. They're all bullshit tokens built on a bullshit blockchain that do nothing.
Yeah, but also that's what we had at the beginning, and then the SEC came to be, and look where we're at now. So the question is, how is it worse to have manual intervention in regulation, or is it worse where it goes on its own? And I don't know. I mean, it might be horrible where it goes on its own. We don't know.
The problem is, I don't think I think there's too many ball washers and not enough people that really want honest, real across the board policing of what we need to be policing. I mean, think about it. You know, there's too many people that
plays into this.
Yeah, and there's too many will be like, oh, I just want the attention, so they'll support whatever, you know, for an agenda, right? And that maybe that's the word I'm looking for. There's too many freaking agendas out there instead of the one agenda of just having integrity and having you know, a solid, honest base to build on.
So here's a good example. Like, I want to go to a restaurant and I want to buy food, right? And I want to be able to use my own currency to be able to do that. And I don't want to have to ask anybody permission. I don't want a bank to tell me yes or no. And the problem is, like, we don't have realistic solutions yet for crypto as a industry. It's all just like this magical ERC20, like, fucking make money. Like, I want, you know, like, I just want to literally walk into a store and buy something and walk away. And we don't have that as an industry yet. It's still just,
it's getting there.
I know we are, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not there yet, for sure.
Like, aside from money, money comes into play in the fact that proof of work consensus mechanisms need to have some funding for it to be worth actually securing and mining the blockchain. But the concept of just having tokenized ecosystems that exist on their own for specific use cases is extremely powerful. And whether that's Ethereum or one of the infinitely long list of other protocols out there that do similar things, it's an important thing going forward. And I think whether there's monetary value tied to that particular blockchain or not, I think it's going to be a really big aspect of what we see in the next 10 years.
And I agree with you. All I'm saying is there's two aspects. There's one aspect, which is I want to be able to have decentralized, I want to be able to control my own money supply internally, right? You've got that. But then you've also got things like, I want to own Amazon stock and I want it to be on the blockchain or whatever. I want it to be decentralized. You know, there's different aspects. My point is, right now, it's just all of us guys and girls, like, just trading fucking money amongst ourselves without actually physically doing anything externally. It's just us.
There is a big echo chamber situation happening. I will not argue with that.
You know,
it's
like,
true.
That's what I'm saying. I
Well,
guess
it's like we talked with Josiah, from Digibyte, and we were talking about education from that side of it, like trying to get people into crypto. And we were talking about things like Coinbase, where they were paying out tokens if you watched educational videos on that token and whatever. And it's like he said, you're preaching to the choir. It's just more crypto people learning more about crypto just to stack more crypto. And we're not getting outside of our little echo chamber. And how do we do that? So, Rob, you taking off?
No, I'm actually waving my hand and say, how do we do that? I can tell you how we do it.
Okay. Tell us how we do it.
So we go to SHOT Show, we go to the NRA convention, we go to the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and there's nobody there from any other crypto project. So I think, and I don't say anybody here's a Maxi, but the fact is, I've had Maxis excoriate me a lot over the last 2 years. And, and it's funny because we never did an ICO. We never sold a token, right? It's like, okay, we're really building something at part-time as part of to do this. But if you're going to get adoption, you know, one, you got to pick a market, you got to do market segmentation, but you got to go talk to those people. You know, does Vitalik go to, like, you know, conferences where there's customers that might use Ethereum? Not that I'm aware of. You know, they go to crypto conferences, but I'm like, the crypto people aren't your customer, or are they? And so to me, we have an identified market, is we're working in the gun space. And you know what? This solves problems in the gun space. So, you know, like I dropped the interview today, but you know, I'm getting airtime on major gun related kind of stuff. The gun world likes what we're doing because they need it, because they have a problem. And you know, how do you get there? You got to go to them. You know, no one's entitled, if you're Bitcoin or any other crypto, no one's entitled to your business. You got to go earn it. And you know what? That means knocking on fucking doors. That means going to retailers and knocking on their door and onboarding them. And if your crypto is not set up to do that, and people on your team aren't going to do that, I don't believe you're ever going to get adoption. I'm very bearish on even Bitcoin ever being used for money. I think it's going to be a high risk speculative investment because there's no one marketing it. And you know what? It takes holding people's hands, going to the retailer. I used to own a retail store. I've set up my own point of sale. How do you integrate with their point of sale? How do you help that entrepreneur, that mom and pop shop, figure out the tax implications of accepting crypto? And what's in it for them? And the thing is, I don't know any other cryptos that are actually doing real sales and marketing and talking to retailers. In fact, before we ever started coding, we talked to a lot of retailers first, and we made decisions about our project based on that input.
I would say Bitcoin is definitely doing exactly what you're talking about. There's tons of companies that are working with retailers. Like you've got Lolly, you've got Fold, tons of companies. I mean, they've got hundreds and hundreds of companies, retailers, where they're integrating Bitcoin into.
But integrations doesn't mean there's a demand created for it. Okay, when you go and start talking to these, there's all sorts of payment gateways, I mean, that are out there that accept crypto, right? There's plenty of people like Coin Payments and all these tokens, you know, the BTC pay server, whatever it is. I mean, you got all those payment gateways for integration with lots of crypto projects. Just because there's a payment gateway set up on a website doesn't mean anybody's fucking using it. Because
if you have millions of users,
it doesn't. And so if you have users are different than customers. So I think in terms of customers, okay. There's not even millions of people invested probably globally in crypto. I mean, this is a small community.
No, it's about 40 million in the world that use crypto. But
okay, I would be surprised, to be honest, because you can't go by, you know, I can tell you it's interesting. You can't. I mean, what do you base that on? How do you come up with that number? Number
Addresses.
Of wallets?
Okay.
All right. Number of wallets. Okay. I can tell you this because I can tell you number of wallets doesn't mean shit compared to the number of people that are actually involved with the project or interested in the community.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. That wasn't my argument was that you've got companies that exist today that are integrating with major retailers, Bitcoin. It's a fact. It's happening right now.
I agree. I understand that. I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying that I'm agreeing with you. There's lots of integrations. That doesn't mean people are using it.
Yes, it does. That's what I'm disagreeing with. Yes, it does. That's the point. They're using it. They're integrating.
So the biggest online retailer that accepts everything right now in the world that I'm aware of is Overstock. They've been taking multiple cryptos for 5 years. They do 25 grand a week in sales across all cryptos. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
So that's shit as far as sales and customers. Now that's the point. And so there's a lot of people that, you know, like, oh, I walked into this store and I did this video and I did this coffee shop and we did this one transfer. Great.
What's the global volume of Bitcoin purchases globally every day on every exchange planet?
Well, the thing is, buying as an investment is not using it to go buy coffee. And I'm talking about people that use it to buy a gun, to buy coffee. That's what I'm talking about. Buying it as an investment. You got to remember, and Bitcoin, I don't even think Bitcoin's a good judge of that because most people buy Bitcoin to on-ramp to other cryptos. Just like if you're going to on-ramp to an alt ERC20, you buy Ethereum first.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but we were talking about retail, and I'm saying there's companies growing right now and that have millions of customers that exist in the United States like Lolly, like Fold, like
Speed
Celsius,
Map.
BlockFi. Like there's tons of companies that are out there that are growing, that are building accounts that are based on savings, investing. I mean, across the board, that are not just I bought Bitcoin. They're you know, like
right.
The market is expanding beyond just I own Bitcoin and I'm keeping it in my treasury.
And I hope it does.
Right.
Because up till now, and Lolly's kind of a startup, so you know, and again, the number of accounts is that I'd like to know what their actual sales are. And the problem is on these private companies, they don't tell you what their actual sales are. And that's the problem, is that we don't know. And so I think
we do know that we're still very early though, no matter what. Like you're right. Like even if we look at 40 million and we do that as a generous number, because it could potentially be significantly less given the fact that I myself have contributed about 12.5 different addresses, we're still early as shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Like we are,
I have hundreds.
all five of us are early adopters,
I
hands
have
down.
hundreds of wallets, you know, personally. So I mean, that's what I'm saying is you can't go by wallet holders.
But to get to millions of users, you first got to have hundreds of thousands of users, and you first got to have tens of thousands of users. So I don't know where along that we are, but we're along that somewhere. Like, and we're moving it forward. Doesn't matter if we're not at the hundreds of millions of users, even if we're further down here. We're all here for that same goal.
Right.
Sure.
We'll get there eventually.
It's just I've been kind of listening to both sides, and you know, I see the respect to what Rob's saying, and I definitely see the respect to what Truth Raider's saying. You know, and Josiah hit it right on the head. We're so early in this. It's kind of like the people, and let's not run down this rabbit hole, but it's kind of like the people that are comparing the flu to the pandemic that we're currently in. The pandemic we're currently in, we've only been in for 3 months. So you can't compare the numbers of this pandemic against a flu that's been around for a year. So
well, my point was, I think my whole point was, I don't think I disagree with anybody here. I'm saying I think cryptos to get adopted need to do sales and marketing. There's no one at Bitcoin doing it, but Lolly's a startup doing marketing. So I respect that.
We disagree, Rob. We specifically disagree where you say Bitcoin is not doing that. That's exactly.
But Bitcoin isn't. There is no Bitcoin team and a sales and marketing guy at Bitcoin knocking on doors saying, I'm with Team Project Bitcoin.
But are not the Bitcoin users the Bitcoin team in a decentralized world?
It is decentralized. Yeah. There is no centralized team. So are we not the people doing that? Exactly.
Or if there is,
but you're not doing
that. A shitcoin that none of us really, really want at the end of the day, because
this is the point, Rob. You're saying that there's no Bitcoin. There are tons of Bitcoin companies working for retail adoption. There's probably hundreds of them.
Well, they're not going to the conferences I'm going to, so that's good.
You know what's best about this whole situation is the amazing timing of which all this transpired, because this whole argument stemmed from we were like, well, we just talked to Josiah about Coinbase and like, how do we stop preaching to the choir in the echo chamber? And it spawned this, and moments later, Josiah appears in the chat, and it's just like,
how you doing, Josiah? What'd you bring us
Welcome.
for show and tell, brother?
It's great to be here, guys. It sounds like I tuned in at like just the right time.
It was exactly the right time.
This has been an amazing and interactive and fun evening for sure. There's no question about that. I'm glad you showed up.
Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. So did you bring a show and tell item is the question?
Well, so that was what I wanted to ask. So specifically around show and tell, what sort of things normally would constitute? This is kind of my first time jumping in here. Sorry. So
this is our first time doing this, and so anything that you want to show in front of the camera and tell us a story about, whether it's a true story or you want to make it up as you go along, have at it.
Like I give you an example earlier, I talked about my Litecoin silver coin that I have here that I got from Johnny Litecoin at my first crypto meetup. So that was my show and tell. That's what I talked about, but it was crypto related. So
I'm just trying to find one. I think I have something similar. Maybe I don't. Fuck, it's gone missing.
It's damn little coin.
Where are you from, Josiah? Where are you from?
I'm from New Zealand.
Gotcha. North or South Island?
Yeah, North Island. I'm in Auckland.
Very cool.
And also, I just finished editing your episode this morning, by the way. So I'm going to be dropping that tomorrow morning. So Crypto Campfire with
Wait,
Josiah
you got
goes live
Rob's
tomorrow.
out already.
You did?
Did you get Rob's out?
No, the reason is because I accidentally tweeted on Twitter that Josiah's was coming out next week. So I have to release his first.
Dude.
I've done that like 3 times now. I fucked up our release order like 3 times because I've tweeted something and I was like, oh wait, that's coming. Oh wait, no, wrong date. But whatever. Here it comes.
He's been trying to catch up with our backlog for.
I have a long week ahead of me. We have currently 19 episodes sitting on hold, ready to go out. So
nice.
Damn. Nice.
Yeah.
Mitch, you guys punted me to like fucking August or some shit.
What's that?
Yours was released like a year ago.
No, remember when I told you, I was like, can I come back on? And you're like, yeah, dude, what are you doing in August?
Yeah, I remember.
It's like wearing a winter coat in the video, hat,
right?
Or earmuffs on.
It's hard not to talk about time sensitive things when we're on our podcast because we get so backed up.
Oh, it's great. If you listen to, I mean, I cut some of it out. Usually if I'm like, all right, guys, so catch this next week, we're going to talk about this. And then I release the podcast like 6 weeks later. I try to cut most of the shit out, but every once in a while, sometimes the conversation just isn't the same without it. So I just leave it in there and it's like.
So we're working towards doing more live streams so that when we do our interview, it's done and it's already live.
Yeah,
it's
it's
already out there, right? And
it's one of those things where it was funny too, because like I was almost cut up. We only had like 9 episodes left on backlog. And so we were on a perfect schedule there. And then all of a sudden this shit hit. And then I had to spend, I don't know how many hours a day trying to get an entire manufacturing facility to go remote in a week. So yeah, so
he got
here
a
we
little
are.
tied up, right? With some really good red tape.
That show and tell just keeps revisiting itself, doesn't it?
It does. Oh shit. So
I'll be right back then. I know what I can show. Give me a second. Yeah.
All right, there we go.
I like the chair.
No,
It is cool, isn't it?
I need to get one of those.
That chair
Forget the chair. What about the like LED backlighting?
Right.
You tell if that's your computer lights or if that's.
Does he got like it looks like the underneath of a car back in Detroit on Gratiot. People
Right.
cruise Gratiot, so I got the LEDs, you know.
Right.
How about the tubes, right? They're like the fucking tubes you put under
Yeah.
the car.
Yeah, the old neon tubes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back before LED strips were a thing. You know, it's not going to be a problem to put a glass tube underneath a moving vehicle or anything.
It's all good, man.
I go upstairs, you know, I'm in the barn and I go upstairs to my kid's room and I open the door and it's like, what the? He's got like 5 monitors going. He's got his computer glowing all different colors. His keyboard's all neon and shit. I'm going, no wonder the damn electric bill's so high. You're killing me
It's your
here.
fucking keyboard. All right, Josiah, what'd you retrieve?
Okay. So this, I'm not too sure. Like I've hinted that this is, that this is coming. I need to hang on 1 second. First time opening this up in 2 days. 1 moment, sir.
Oh, cool.
So what we have is this is a first look at the iOS app that our team have been working on. So we do actually have Digi Assets on our iOS app, which is pretty cool. I don't think we've actually showed this off before, and you can specifically, this is super hard going back and forth. Go into the assets. Is it going to bring it up? We are in early beta phase, like pre-test flight, but this is about to hopefully be released to test flight in about, no, I'm not actually, real soon. Let's say that.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Those are the best and most realistic goals to lay out there, because when we put dates to it, yeah.
Well, exactly. And this is what we were talking about literally just a few minutes ago, about being like a permissionless, decentralized entity. There, like, people work on this shit in their spare time. You don't have a checklist of things you've got to do today. It's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go to sleep and just have a couple beers this afternoon and just
right.
Progress
Well,
be damned,
crypto,
whatever.
We all know how cruel and yeah, how cruel the crypto world can be when it comes to time slots.
Yeah. Yeah. But so like for the most part, we do actually, so you can scroll up and down your list of your assets and things like that. I should be able to, if I don't want the details, give me the actual, yeah, you can zoom in into the
where's
picture.
your private key again?
Yeah.
Have we got, yeah, we've got sending as well, and burning assets with a great big freaking warning because you don't want to send your stuff into the ether and not know about.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, real quick show and tell there. That is like a first kind of preview. I don't think we've shown it to anybody on iOS. Coming soon.
Wow.
Sweet.
Nice.
You guys heard it here.
Sweet.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
On the show and tell, Crypto Campfire.
Yeah.
That's
Good
awesome,
times.
man. And we were
to be released in August.
we were like guys at a tool store, you know,
Live, but definitely on
2021.
hold.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
We were drooling over your chair that you got there and your neon lighting while you stepped away. We were all like oogling
Yeah,
over
nice.
your chair. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
I've got to work
matchy.
on it a little bit more. I'm trying to sort some more shit out. Well, yeah. It's, the more that you kind of do, the more I realized I was like, I need to not just have an okay camera. Maybe I need to go and get a better microphone. Now I've got a better microphone like up in the corner. I was like, I need to get some speakers underneath
Hey, it
so that
looks
you
like
don't have
mine.
audio feedback. And yeah, the Blue Yetis are great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
what I'm
it.
running too.
Right?
Yeah.
I had the
feel
little
like 90%
nano
of
and it's
podcasters have them.
Exactly.
Rob's got
All right,
some
so Rob, Truth
badass
Raider, I'm gonna ask you a question that we asked Josiah last week. So let's say that as part of one of the long-term effects that we see from this COVID-19 situation, blowing out candles at a birthday party is no longer acceptable. What do you replace that tradition with?
This is a good question too. I love it.
Compressed air.
There we go. That would be
can.
amazing. Oh, and a
They'll have-
can.
so-
When you said a can, you took all the fun out of it. I'm thinking the big,
Right.
half-inch air hose and.
So what they'll probably do is make a decorated little mini little thing with a little puff of air that you pump up and then you sell it where the candles are in the grocery store and that's what they're gonna
You give me the realistic.
I'm thinking a hockey horn.
Yeah.
Truth Raider, what do you think?
Dude, I'm thinking like an exhaust from a fucking Chevy 2500.
There you go. Take it out to the truck.
Sit in the gas.
Will we have exhaust anymore at that point? I definitely am. You can't take away my internal combustion, motherfuckers.
Yeah, you're not taking my truck and fucking engine away, man.
Not a chance, man. Not a
Keep your
chance.
Teslas.
Yeah.
But do
I mean,
you remember what I responded to that?
Yeah, you were just saying. Oh, hold on. I just edited it this morning. I remember the answer. Give me 30 seconds.
You got cheap.
It was on. No, hold on.
By the way, I think people blowing candles out is gross anyway.
No, it's gone. It's totally gone.
It is.
I think it's a
right
gross
there, and then it was
tradition
gone.
anyway.
Yeah.
It is a gross tradition. Mitch, hold on. What was the answer?
People will just have to watch the episode to find out what it was because I
There
sure
you
as shit
go.
don't remember.
That's,
and we
that's the perfect answer, actually. to
I'm
be
okay. Fine.
totally
I won't keep
honest.
tomorrow.
Maybe. It's edited, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get it out tomorrow.
that's like that. I think I read on what went around Twitter. What's going to replace the handshake?
Mm.
You know, is it the elbow bump or is it the chest bump or is it the, what's going to replace the handshake?
What do you think about the people doing the fucking key, the feet kicks? Like they're kicking their feet and shit.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
where they're doing like the handshake only with their feet. You never seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm way too fucking unbalanced to do that, man.
I know, right?
I'm going face
Isn't
first.
that like a hacky sack start off, for playing hacky sack and shit?
They act like they're doing a hacky sack thing, man. It's weird. I
Like
can't do
that's super cool if you have that kind of balance and mad respect for that. But I can could you imagine me greeting like my mom with that? Be like, it's not.
She'd be like, she's
What are you
got,
doing? Hold on.
as long as she's got walking devices, she'd be all right. I know my mom be like,
This is great because you see all those people out there with their hands on each other's shoulders trying to tap their feet so they stay away from each other.
Yeah, right. That's social distancing and it's fine.
Falling all
Two
over
of
each
us
other.
just end
would
up
be great.
like face planting because neither of us are balanced.
Yeah. What a disaster.
Oh my goodness.
Can we do
I-
something that we don't have to touch people? Can we just maybe go there? Like, can we bow?
Hey, you
I
could
like
do
the
like
bowing
the
thing.
air
That's a
high
great
five,
idea.
Hey.
I think people are gross in general. Like outside of COVID, I still think people are gross. So it's like,
Oh,
can we
yeah.
just do something like, let's go Asian on this. Let's just start bowing. I'd be in favor of that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we could start wearing all kinds of amazing things so that when you bow, it would just like all flow down, and it could become like a whole personality trait. You know, your bow, it becomes a unique expression of yourself.
Your chain just kind of
we should bring back the
out.
curtsy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Is that kind of like a hologram? You change when you bow.
So like, I think over the next couple of years, like, because I like to hug it out. So are we gonna walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, bro, hug it out"?
Right.
From now on, like, you don't touch me. You might have the COVID.
You know, the hugging it out thing is going to be like in 3 years. That'll be in 2023's version of running it bareback.
Yeah, right.
You know, I'm going to take this risk with you, so let's hug it, dude. We're really tight now.
Yeah, we gotta have a conversation about it first and make sure you're ready for that level of relationship.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's going to be, though. It's going to be like, oh, I'll shake your hand, and like, oh wow.
It's going to be in the history
you're not
books.
wearing
They're
any-
going to
you're
be
not-
like, this society was so stupid that they actually used to touch each other on a daily basis.
I know, right? Oh God.
And when does it come back? Like, let's just say people decide they want to do handshakes again, right? How soon do you start?
At
Right?
least
And
after
do
the
you
second
ever
or third
not
meeting.
start? I don't know. That's a weird thing too, because like from, you know, and you, if you're in the gun industry too, going to gun shows and stuff, you're face to face with customers and that kind of stuff all the time. It's like your handshake is your thing, and it's not obviously just the gun industry, but it's just all of that face to face stuff. When you're with somebody, you're always handshaking. In a business world, you just shake hands. That's what you do. I probably shake hands with thousands of people. Like,
Well, they always, the thing with like the SHOT Show, which is the biggest gun show in the world in January every year, they always have this like SHOT Show group kind of thing. Anyways, people are always like, you know, getting sick after SHOT Show because you're doing that. But you know, it's interesting. It's like it'll be interesting. Even this last SHOT Show, a lot more people were like, let's just high five, you know, or you know, they were already doing that there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. I mean, they canceled NRA. That's usually in April every year, and they canceled that this year. So it sucked because I really wanted to go.
Are all these manly guys now going to fucking carry hand sanitizer around?
Well, they already
I know. Yeah, we're already doing it. Come on.
They
I got my little bottle of Clorox wipes. You know, I go to the grocery store and wipe.
There's going to be tactical. So what will happen is there'll be like tactical like handles, like 1 gallon jugs in camouflage attached to the backpack with like a freaking.
No. It'll be like those fly sprayers when you walk into restaurants. You know, those big fans that push all the flies away. Well, they'll spray you like crop dusting as you walk through.
Rob, you'll just have to come up with a hand sanitizer that amounts to a Picatinny rail or something like that. You got the market cornered.
I think the fanny pack will come back, man.
Definitely the fanny pack.
Yes.
I want a leather one.
Let's be real. Bozak brought the fanny pack back years ago.
Dude, yeah.
Good enough for Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, Bozak was rocking the fanny pack.
Yeah, Bozak's been rocking a fanny pack for years, man.
He's been rocking pajamas.
He's
for the
way
last
ahead of all
4
of us
years,
at this curve here.
They do make tactical fanny packs.
I have seen
But
one. I've got a tactical apron that my wife bought me.
That's awesome.
It is.
See, the problem is, so in New Zealand,
It's all Molly.
if you're talking about someone's fanny, you're not talking about their ass.
Right.
You're
And
talking
so-
about their
Yes.
what?
If you're talking about
The
a
other
fanny
side.
pack, it's about something else. It's
It's about 180 degrees around the corner.
yeah.
Oh, good God.
Don't you still have 20,000 sheep per capita or something down there in New Zealand?
And this is why we have no food problems.
Right?
You know what? I got enough toilet paper to feed. Never mind. Some
Hey,
of us
we use
think
a
ahead.
bidet, so I don't even use toilet paper. I use
You can't even
Sure.
spell bidet.
Mr. Higher than us.
you
over there
know,
with his bidet.
I thought that was the dumbest. Let's be honest here. I thought it was the dumbest Christmas present ever until I hooked it up to my toilet and started using it. And, I
And
was
you
like,
owe
oh
somebody
my
a
God,
major
how
apology.
did I live without
Yeah,
this?
but now you spend an extra 12 minutes every time you go to the bathroom because you're liking it way too much.
Yeah, no.
12?
She hasn't bought toilet paper in like 3 years now.
Right?
Think of the savings.
That just sounds disgusting.
It's economical.
Hey, hook up the
He's got his last 12 rolls on hold for the next 5 years so he can sell them at a premium.
I bet I could. Give it another week.
Ever into Asia, dude, like they've got bidets that are amazing. They've got heated bidets, heated toilets.
Nice.
They've got like sprays that like there's different levels of spray.
Do you like get scented ones as well? That sounds like a great market.
What does it say? Gentle and beast?
Another goal. It's like I want a number 3 up my ass. I want fucking full bidet.
Oh god.
I wonder if they've got any glittery ones.
If you go to Japan, you can Google it. Google Japan bidets and it'll blow your mind.
Wait, we can't go to porn sites here.
I don't want that in my search
We've already
history.
been to porn sites before we started streaming.
Yeah, that sounds like a website I'm not allowed to look at.
Yeah, right.
Not porn, I swear to God. It's a fucking toilets.
Yeah, that's hilarious. How do we get on this subject?
I don't know, but I don't think I'm coordinated enough to do a bidet. I don't think I could. I don't know. Is there like a deal? Is there like a target? You have to sit. I mean, it seems
you are the target.
My concern. I'm so concerned. Like, how do you avoid a giant disaster?
My
how do I
only
not
advice is when you install it, don't turn the knob unless you're sitting on it. Trust me.
But how do you know it's not going to hit the ceiling or hit your back and then you got a big line? I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I don't think I'm that talented.
I just feel like there's a lot of like splatter action that's got to happen. I mean, unless you're like a really clean shitter. I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe there's just like.
I think we should just talk about the fact that Mitch actually installed the bidet. Let's talk.
Yeah, right.
There
you go. There you go. I actually installed.
He's got to stay busy. He'll find something to do.
Oh my gosh. They're going to find something that pays now.
You know, hey, did I tell you about my buddy who used to smuggle toilets in from Canada to Detroit? Did I tell you the toilet joke?
No, this sounds like a great story.
So seriously, so back in the day, so remember when toilets went to 1.6 gallon? They used to be two, like the early one. This is totally just redneck. This is the way I grew up, right? So all my friends are totally WT. So my buddy, so they made a law that says you couldn't have 2 gallon per flush toilets anymore. But the early 1.6 gallon flush didn't flush the turd, so you got to flush the toilet like 3 times to make it work. So my buddy was going over to Windsor, Ontario, because Detroit's right next to Canada, and he would like literally rent like a rider truck and go to Home Depot and the Lowe's and clear out all their 2 gallon toilets because they were still legal in Canada, and then import them and then sell them on Craigslist.
Good
He made a
Lord.
fortune.
That's
So
wonderful.
my buddy was a toilet smuggler.
Then they came out with the hydronic flush. It's like a commercial.
Hey, well, I'll tell you, I bought my toilet right now based on the fact that the advertisement showed them flushing like handfuls of hot dogs. This was the third time I had taken the toilet off to unclog it from something that my child had flushed that was not uncloggable with the snake. And so I went and tried to find the most indestructible flusher of a toilet.
Just don't flush it while you're sitting on it.
Yeah, it was some Kohler. And they like showed the guy he threw like 6 hot dogs and it flushed them. He threw like 100 Legos and it just all went down. I was like, great, this is what I need. He's not plugged it yet.
For all the times that you're trying to flush 100 Legos, there's something we're missing here.
You have no idea how much shit I pulled out of that toilet. Not shit, toys.
No, you said it. I think
No,
you said it right.
I'm sorry, I have a problem. Okay, what can I say?
Can you imagine right now if your toilet broke?
Strange
going to
addictions on TLC.
a toilet store and trying to figure out how to buy a new toilet? I would have no fucking clue. I would have no.
That's why my search was down to what can I flush with this toilet?
How many hot dogs can go down this motherfucker?
That was my exact search term. Google is really concerned with my mental state right now.
That sounds like a challenge at this point. Like I'm gonna, because at some point you're gonna like I'm gonna block that fucker. Like remember the Dysons, that we could never lose suction. I'm like I had it in my Twitter bio. I made a Dyson lose suction. It was like a challenge, and I won.
Nice.
So it happens.
I'm really good at doing that
make
with
a
every
Dyson lose
vacuum I've
suction.
ever owned. They all are terrible.
Yeah,
I would say that they all suck, but that doesn't really make sense. So.
And you don't want to, and never use the fecal blower. I call them the fecal blowers in like a bathroom. Never use those fans ever. It blows fecal bacteria around the entire bathroom. They're horrible. They're disgusting. Absolutely. Any kind of heated blower, don't ever use them. Use the paper. Safer. It's much cleaner.
Well, it's like after you've used a bidet, you struggle to go to a bathroom someplace else. You're like, yeah, no, I'll wait till I get home.
Well, the
So
worst
you're
part
like
is
up
like
to-
you
so
start
you go,
buying the
wait.
fancy toilet paper and you hate going to shit at the gas station because you're like, God, I gotta use sandpaper.
I know,
Now you're going
right?
from like soft, nice water. You run it through a water softener first, don't you?
I mean, come
It
on. I
wouldn't
was
work
that
very
guy
well,
that
would it?
wanted to design a seat warmer for the porta johns at construction sites in the wintertime, you know?
I have a feeling
Just
you'd
throw
come
it
out of
on
that
the
with some like
seat.
Tim the Tool Man Taylor bidet shit. It's got like a fucking 350 V8 on the back of
You just created a fucking $10 billion idea. Fucking porta shitter bidets.
Yeah. Oh yes.
I don't think you want. I don't think you
Dude.
want that. I don't think you want that water in your butt.
Imagine like going to a construction site. Some fucking poor construction worker's like, he takes his ass on the seat. He's like, why is there water squirting? In my what is this? I'm trying to build a goddamn house. What's happening?
That's like some Johnny Knoxville shit.
Everybody's
right there. It's gonna
standing in
happen. You know
line.
it's
He
gonna
has a
happen.
porta shitter. What the hell? You got the neighbors
Johnny
coming
Knoxville
over,
would really love
porta
that. That's for
johns.
sure. You're not kidding there.
Something with a water hose. Just fucking shit up.
Oh, this has gone terribly awry.
Yeah, this has gone way down a rabbit hole.
And of course the Kiwi's just like, oh boy.
Josiah, we take our bidets seriously in America.
That's right, we do.
Because they just heard about bidets in the last 6 weeks in our country, right? Because they
Pretty
didn't.
much.
Hey,
It
try
seems
to
like
buy
it.
one right now. You can't.
Yeah.
Josiah's literally on Amazon looking up bidets.
Heated
Filter,
bidet.
delivery, New Zealand.
Yeah, infrared auto flush. Oh shit! Hey, listen, guys, I'm gonna get off of here. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
we'll
joining
close this
tonight, man.
down.
This
It's
was a
been a
lot
while,
of
but
fun.
good times.
It was a hoot, man. Josiah, Rob,
Thanks a lot,
Truth
guys.
Raider, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This was a great time.
Hell yeah, we
We'll join
definitely
you
gonna be
for the
doing it
next
again.
one.
So keep your
Appreciate
eyes out. We're not done. That's for sure. Lots
No,
more of these
hell
coming. We
no.
got
You're right. I'm not done with Truth Raider yet.
no.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I
We'll have a
honestly I
round two.
cannot wait until the social
We gotta just
distancing
do a
is over.
podcast with the two of them.
No, we need a fucking physical panel with these two so they don't have any mic competition problems because
Yeah,
that
there
would
you
have been
go.
such a much better argument had there not been the mic comparison. Like, yeah,
Right.
if they
We
could
need
sit
to
down
sit.
next to each other and we could hear both of them the whole time.
Baker
that would be-
cancellation kicks in.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
I
It makes
actually
it
agree
really
with
hard.
him on like 99% of shit anyway. So like when it'd be like, all right, we don't agree on this one thing. Okay.
But you can
Yeah,
talk
but
about it for
that
2
thing's
hours though. That's
fun.
the
Yeah,
point.
right.
You can argue about the 1% all day.
Exactly.
That's interesting stuff,
Oh,
right?
Polly
That's
P
what people are
says
here
we need
for.
a bidet with a laser sight. But Polly, how do we monitor where the laser is pointing? Is there a screen? And do you want to look at
You
that?
need a joystick.
Yeah, but you still have to see where it's pointing.
It's like dive bombing. You're like, oh, we're almost over, Berlin. It's like,
It's like
man.
flying a drone, right?
Exactly. Some of us were born with it.
That's right. All right, guys.
guys.
Until next
See you
time, have a
later.
great night. We'll talk to you, Josiah.
Take it easy.
Guys, peace.
Appreciate it, gentlemen.